Ladies and gentlemen, welcome on into the Olympus Smite League. It is the semi-finals of the OSL Cup where the Royal Jesters and Eternal Vanguard are set to clash in an epic best-of-3 series. Both teams have fought tooth and nail to get here, and now it is time to see who will claim their spot in the grand finals. I'm ZekVexol. Joining me to break down all the action today is NotAValveGame. Valve, how are we doing today?
I'm doing great. I'm super excited to cast this set, man, because the Royal Jesters, I was told that there was potentially a substitute situation, but then there wasn't, and then there was, and then there wasn't. So now we've got the full roster here, so we know. And I'm not surprised at all to see Eternal Vanguard showing their respects, the Opwash tax, as I would like to call it now. When you play against C-Host, you ban Opwash. Guy loves that character.
Lancelot, Opwash, Yamoja getting banned away right out of the gate. There's a couple gods still floating around on the board who I think are kind of must bans. And what are your thoughts on Nirvana right now? I thought he was pretty good already, and then received some extra buffs, and now the god I just feel like is a little bit on the unstoppable end. He can build hybrid, he can build full damage, and just kind of run the town wherever he goes.
Robin solo, in my opinion, is back. That character, while he could still play solo before, that cleave basic attack and the ability to go that, old mitigation style build on him is something that is incredibly powerful. Frostbound Hammer is 100% uptime, funny item. It stays on and he sticks to people so well, combined with that slow, with that root. It is something that just gets work done. He sticks to you. He chases you down. He's got that immunity to stop you from peeling him off. So it's a lot. And it looks like the Jesters are great.
No surprise right there. Royal Jesters are going to slam that one in right away in their first pick slot after Odin and Nike become the final two bans for these two teams. And I'm a little bit surprised. I mean, I do feel like Nike's been seeing a little bit of a resurgence. She has some solid damage numbers. She's very difficult to gank. But, when I look at health shields as a whole, when I'm looking at Yamoja, I'm looking at Nike, and I mean Vamana, 07 Vamana, but Horrific and Sunder just go way too hard against these characters and just are so relevant right now, I feel. So no real surprise, but I feel like there's potential there, and Yamoja being that one who's like really high skill floor, extremely high skill ceiling. If you can pull off this god, she does phenomenal. She's gonna get knocked out, but like that shielding thing, I feel like that's always just in the back of my head. Sun Wukong and Cupid for the first picks of Eternal Vanguard. Okay, I think good pressure with Sun Wukong, but difficult in the late game because you kind of like got a dumb kid get up in your ult. But Cupid is an interesting one for me.
Cupid, I think, is definitely a comfort pick for Clay City. I have seen him slam that pick in ranked games, and he absolutely fries with it. It is a pick that has a lot of boxing potential. It's got that relic pressure with that Field of Love. And he just likes to fight. Cupid likes to get involved and fight. And he does a ton of damage. He has a lot of stuff going for him, but he does have, some susceptibility to ganks. That Wingblade is a really good item into him. And it makes it difficult to, function as that character. But it seems like they're confident in it, and it's a comfort pick. They want to lock in their ADC early, and they're picking the Cupid. Ishtar to kind of counter that out, not having to burn beads every single time, but they are going to have to burn that ultimate. Scylla is the hover and lock in for Archon Eevee. That is interesting. I'm surprised they're going for it this early.
I'm really like looking at a lot of these picks. I'm like, okay, that's an interesting one. Okay, that's an interesting one. And I feel like I'm just going to keep saying that throughout the back end of this draft. I really like the pressure that comes out with the Royal Jesters Ishtar Maui. It's like, cool, we got good lockdown. We got Ishtar, who's got great clear. If they decide to go with the mannequins build, which I think is much better now after they changed mannequins away from having prots and stuff on that to bringing it into being just more damage, more power. I really like that build style. So I'm wondering if we're going to be seeing that this time around from Vayu over there in the ADC. But now I'm looking at the opposite. I'm like, okay, so Cupid and Scylla, yes, she has some good over-the-wall poke. She has some, a great securing ultimate, but, what is she lacking? And my thoughts are early game. And when I'm looking at the opposite side and I'm seeing Ishtar, Maui, and Ravana, I see early game. And I see a lot of early game. So I'm a little bit nervous on if Royal Jesters keep this flow of early game pressure gods, what's going to be going on down in the mid lane? Is this Robin going in jungle? Is he going in solo?
You have a lot of... Scylla can take her time farm. She's a ton of safety. So that early game pressure, while it is a lot, it's something that she can manage. Now, it seems like the bans were much targeted, very targeted. And Jesters are targeting Snicks J, taking out 2 jungle picks. But Eternal Vanguard targeting in the first phase that Opwash, that Nike specifically for Aztec, and then targeting 2 mid laners once again, Nuwa and Tiamat. Both very powerful picks right now. That Nuwa, I call it the funny Nuwa button. Fire Shards is not fun if you're a carry. You have to Aegis it almost every single time. And a Kumbhakarna hover. Good setup for that I'm a Monster with that epic uppercut. And they have, while they have a good amount of CC immunity, this Aphrodite hover is interesting. He actually was talking about this. By he I mean C-Host. He was talking about this the other night. And he said it absolutely has been frying in ranked games, but this is competitive, and they could definitely focus you down here. This is a risky hover here, but it has some merit to it. But I don't know how I feel about it.
I'm gonna go out here and say there was several years ago, okay, back in a league that probably should not be named, that was casted by individuals like J-Mac and whatnot, where Sahas was on a team with myself and a few others, and he actually played this Aphrodite mid pick. It looked good. This isn't just a this season kind of feels out kind of thing. He's been enjoying this Aphrodite mid for years, and I mean like for like 5-6 years back when we played. Oh man, I'm excited to see this again because I don't think I have really seen a good Afro mid since. I think he looked really phenomenal on the pick. Granted, we had a really backliney support with a Khepri as well, so it was just people aren't dying when they're killed kind of style of our draft. So with this team comp that they do have, I'm seeing a lot of engaged. Now you have this Aphrodite to be that support, like, hey, we're just gonna go in, we're gonna go forward, we're gonna hold W key. We have this heal bot on top of us at the same time. I'm excited to see what the actual outcome is going to be for Royal Jesters.
The thing with you were talking about backline supports. Delvin is, I see him prioritize a lot of backline supports. I think Khepri, I think Yamoja. Maui is kind of a middle ground. He has that engage, but he's also, if you're a Solin and you get hooked by Maui, that's very disorienting, and you have to beat it most of the time. You can't really get away from that. Otherwise, you're taking a ton of damage from their hunter who could just put shots into you. This Circuit, though, something an Aphrodite doesn't really like, something a Chalk doesn't really like. If you're a soul laner, you hate Circuit. That's just in your mind all the time. And Circuit, as they pick up for Snicks J, it is an interesting matchup into Robin because if timed correctly, Robin can kind of just beat her down. But Circuit's always a wild card, I feel. There's certain games where she has a much more of an impact, but this one, she might have a harder time making an impact.
I'm interested in the Circuit. She's been one of my favorite characters back since way back in early seasons of Smite. Probably one of the first gods I got to Diamond. I loved her so much. She has so much mobility, a lot of early pressure. It just feels like she's kind of teetered off since they really tried to pull her out of that support role back in what, season 7? When they're like, okay, let's get the assassins out of the support role, the Najas, the Circuits, let's stop doing this and let's try to, you know, get them back into more of the assassin role. It feels like, yeah, she has great scaling and she still is one of the best scaling junglers. She still has that mobility. They didn't take any of that away. It just feels like that potency is lacking because now that you kind of build into that more, I'm going to go full power, I'm going to go full scaling and see how things go, build style, you just end up in this position where if you go in, you really got to focus on your timing. Otherwise you get in there, you just get blown up, hopping on top of the back of anyone. And I'm going to be a little bit concerned about that, but I'm going to be a little bit excited at the same time because if Snicks can pull this one off, I think it is a very phenomenal pick and a lot of burst potential like we've been saying. What build route are you going to go? Are you going to try to go into more of a hybrid build style? It's still doable. I don't think it's going to be too potent on where Circuit is sitting right now. Otherwise, what are your thoughts on this one?
Realistically, I think that the Circuit can, if she finds the opportunities, go crazy in these games. But I also have a bit more of a concern about this Cupid as well, because I feel like he just gets absolutely popped in these fights. If Robin gets to him at any point, he's probably dead. If Chalk gets to him with an Aphrodite link to either of them, they're probably dead. Circuit might be the least of the Vanguard's concerns because their carry's gonna die. It is something that they're gonna have to. They're gonna have to protect the baby. Real quick, the Circuit is an element that needs to make impact on the backline so that it does distract either Delvin or C-Host in, you know, going in with the rest of their team. And it's Snicks has got to make it happen, and I hope he does.
Oh, Snyx has got to make it happen. Eternal Vanguard has to make it happen. I think there's only one way to find out if they make it happen is we're jumping on in to game number 1. Royal Jesters going off against Eternal Vanguard here in your semifinals matchup. Super excited to see, and you know, we're talking about making it happen and stuff like that. We're talking about a lot of these compositions, and I feel like when looking at Royal Jester's team comp overall, I feel like there's a lot of answers to what Eternal Vanguard's team comp is supposed to do, and I'm really looking at the backline, the carries in terms of the dive for Royal Jesters. You know, that Cupid we were talking about, I feel like I'm gonna harp on it, no pun intended, as much as I can. If Raven gets on the Cupid, he drops the ultimate, tries to dash away. Well, Raven just ults after him or uses his 2 to immune the ultimate. Okay, that's cool. Scylla, if he blinks onto the Scylla, you know, roots are in place. She's gonna dash away, ults on over the top. She goes to use the ultimate, he can immune that. So I'm sitting here trying to really put together what it is, and that's just one character. That's just one character of the Royal Jester's dive comp. You know, they still have the Chalk, they still have the Afro who's going to be linked to somebody. They're still just going to be displacing people so they don't even have to dive on them with the Maui. So I'm going to be keeping my eye on the response that Eternal Vanguard has. I think the Kumbhakarna is going to be phenomenal into the dive comps. He always is, always has been, always will be a phenomenal pick in that front. So maybe, is this going to be what Eternal Vanguard relies on? If somebody comes in, do we just mez them outright and hope for the best? What do you think?
I think this epic uppercut is going to be key in how long the Cupid or the Scylla survives in these dives, because taking that one person out of the fight is going to be huge for them, because that person is no longer either linked to the Aphrodite needs to switch their target, or there needs to be, you know, some sort of counter to that. And if you're set up into the sky for a couple seconds, there's nothing you can really do. You're not an element in the team fight for that time. It looks like Kernoin's taking a bit of damage here.
Ooh, a little bit of a 1v1 by the junglers right at the beacon, and it does seem like Snyx is getting the better half of that. Cooldown's coming back, and Snyx just deletes Kernoin for the first blood on Eternal Vanguard here in game number 1. Really exciting stuff that you love to see, and I mean, that's just exactly what you expect when you have one pressure jungler versus another pressure jungler.
I mean, Kernoin walked in, as Snyx did as well. Snyx started the fight, then Kernoin turned it around, and it just looks like Eevee was ready to get active a bit faster than Seahost was. And that might just be a clear element to it. I'm not too familiar with Aphrodite's, you know, level of clear compared to Scylla. It's not a common matchup we see. But in solo side here, it looks like Aztec is kind of putting the hurt on an expert here, and he might go down. He will! Torrent was enough, but Snyx is here. Is he gonna turn it around, though? Chalk's got the rain. Might be enough to heal him out, and no, Snyx is taking too much.
Yeah, Aztec looking to turn that one right on back and say, okay, you know what, I'll take the 1v1, I'll take the 1v2, I don't care what day of the week it is. Expert does return though, and Aztec sticks around a little bit too long. Gotta worry about that teleport coming on back. Aztec gets knocked on down after soloing his lane opponent. Now 1-2, Eternal Vanguard still leading in the kill column.
Aztec said something along the lines of, I troll in comms, but with a French accent. It is that he knows what he
French
did.
accent, or just use a
No, he has a French accent. That would have been even funnier if he said it with a French accent.
But with the French accent.
With his French accent. That'd be a whole other level of comedy that I can't even, that'd be wild. But, you know, he was a bit too, his hubris really punished him there. He was a bit too overconfident in his ability to live there. He didn't think he would die, and he thought maybe he could get the turnaround kill. And he's just like, I troll. You know, what I am interested in is, what is he going into? Is he looking at the Frostbound? The Room Forged on Chalk kind of stinks. So I'm assuming it's not going that way. Is it a Dawnbringer? What are we cooking here?
I'm feeling Frostbound, I gotta say. You know, like we were talking about earlier, 100% uptime, not to mention you're already gonna be slowed by the rain dance. It feels like, okay, cool, let me just lock you down, hold you in place, and when you look at the opposite side, the carries are going to have to use movement abilities. They're going to have to do the best that they can. They're going to have to maybe even use beads if push comes to shove if they don't have movement abilities up. So a lot of potential here for the Chalk to just get on top of a carry, lock them down, force them to use relics, force them to use ultimates, and just put them in a great position, exactly the position that he wants. But this is not the position that he wants, as it trades the ultimate with Snyx, and surely does end up walking out of there nice and easily. Not too concerned there, does not have the teleport available to come on back right away, but did upgrade it already.
He upgraded it at the T2 there because he didn't have enough to either get that next T2 item, and he also just wanted Chalice to pair with it. Looks like Archon Eevee is taking quite a bit of damage here, though. Muting up the Crush. Kernoin is looking to chase him down. Is he going over? He is! He's chased him down! I'm a monster! Is that coming out? The hands. Smacked in the back of the head. Archon Eevee goes down.
We call that just Robin things, right? Yes, exactly.
I mean, a little
just
bit.
Robin things. Yeah.
I think it's a 10-hand Shadow Fist or something, but those are the palms.
Just wanting to throw hands, you know? It's exactly what Robin does, and that's why I think, like, this god has to be just one of the best gods in the game right now, okay? I love him so much. I've been a Robin lover since his release, since he was a warrior. Like, he's just been so phenomenal, and I'm happy
Robin release,
that
that god sucked. Quite sick. It's, you know what doesn't suck? Getting a kill on the carry right there for Kernoin, and another one going into his pocket.
It's definitely a good feeling right there. Getting 2 back-to-back right after the downfall of the first blood. You know, it's kind of this resurgence thing. Number one, you're going to be locking them down, shutting them down from any sort of pressure they may get. Snakes wants to step on in here. This is a 1v2 scenario. No relics available for the Maui. You can't sprint after him, but, you know, just going to get a little bit of poke and walk away from that one.
Yeah, take a little bit of poke, and I don't want to die here, so I'm leaving. And that's kind of just it. Looks like Seahost is going into that Chronos Pendant first. I was expecting more of a Doom Orb, but it looks like that cooldown is a bit more priority for him. Makes sense, though, because that Aphrodite, her main draw is the utility and healing she can provide, not really her damage, though she can do quite a bit of damage if built that way. But her utility, specifically with that Undying Love and that the kiss, the movement speed it gives, and jealousy. Jealousy is something, an aspect of Aphrodite a lot of people overlook. It's given on her ultimate, and it's given on if she kisses a target while linked to somebody. It's just extra damage that stacks up.
That aspect of Aphrodite, and when it's going to be in mid, you're going to be seeing it move around a lot more. Snicks, though, trying to secure their jungle buff's not going to find that. Vayu on the opposite side of the map, though, going to knock down Clay City. Disco Fairy did his best to support for his ADC, not going to be able to do that one. And take a look at this one, the Royal Jesters dual lane. No, the buff timers, they're going to step on in and look for the purple buff invade themselves. So we steal purple buff on the, I'm sorry, we steal speed buff over on the opposite end of the map. We steal purple buff over here. Disco Fairy's trying to step in, trying to lock this one down. Not going to be successful. But Play City is coming back. Can they delay long enough for it to keep its return?
That is a... Delvin played that whole, like, 30 seconds absolutely perfectly. That was, he bought time. I'm a Monster comes out, throwing some damage in.
Snakes jumps on in over the top and does lock down Vayu, does punish the ADC of the Royal Jesters for the invade, and now take a look at this 4-man invade from Eternal Vanguard. They strip away the purple buff, they're looking for the green buff and more, but Snicks get poked out nice and hard. Kernoin jumps in over the top with the ultimate, with the Mystic Rush, but does not get Play City, does not get Snicks. Both players super low. Kernoin doing his best to chase on down. Archon Eevee trying to peel for his teammate, dashes right on through, gets the root off, does some good damage. The Husk drops the ultimate, and it looks like Vanguard is happy to walk away with that one.
Yeah, that started off was the engagement started, I'm a Monster was off the mark, and it didn't look too good for Vanguard, but then Vanguard got a ton of damage out, and was able to, get so much done. I believe they get away with the green and the purple. I don't know if they got both entirely, but they did steal quite a bit and do quite a bit. So it was just, locked down. The Circuit CCing, Kumbhakarna stalling so much time. The body blocks for Kumbhakarna, you can't body block those, though. That is an arrow going straight through Play City's skull.
Great response right on back. It just feels like, okay, Royal Jesters got pressure, got a kill, went over, invaded the purple buff. Nice. Eternal Vanguard respond, come back over with a huge rotate, which I feel like is exactly what they needed to do in that moment. Like, you sit there and you're in these situations where somebody's coming up for an invade, and in your head, you're like, okay, do we respond to this or do we do something on the opposite side of the map? And a lot of times you're like, okay, we're not going to be able to respond to that fast enough. They're already there, so let's do something on the opposite side of the map. But they made a good rotation. They got both buffs, like we believe, and they got a kill off of it. And to be honest, that was great. But Royal Jesters coming on right back, and I want to say Vayu coming right on back and taking the 1v1 and locking down Eternal Vanguard's ADC as well. It just seems like cool. Now Royal Jesters have gotten the swing back that they were looking for. Speaking of doing opposite side things on the opposite side of the map, Bull Demon, it's been kind of quiet today.
It's been very quiet solo side. Usually these teams focus out on solo side, but I think all the combat that's been happening on left side. Speaking of which, there is an invade coming out. Once again, Delvin is postured aggressively, but Fields of Love come out. Trying to zone him out. And Kumbhakarna, you said zone? Kumbhakarna's here to do exactly that. That character is excellent at that. That was an easy zone, but the Fields of Love were burned, so not too much boxing they want to do. But I was talking about this in Picks and Bans. Cupid wants to fight. But clearly, they're aware of that, and they forced him to fight when he didn't want to. And now Cupid does not want to fight. He wants to farm.
Wants to farm. Jungle rotation coming in from Eternal Vanguard, and nobody here to help stop the invade as Snicks just strips away the purple buff, eyes up the green buff. Maui, I wish you the best, but this is a Socket. This is what she does. Does not get it, though. All right, Delvin, you know what? I stand corrected. Great job there from the support of his Royal Jesters. Fight breaking loose in front of the Gold Fury pit. Not even for Gold Fury, but for a green buff. Kernoan uses the overhead kick to try to distance himself a little bit from the Eternal Vanguard team, but that looks like that is going to put that one to rest. Purple buff invaded, green buff secured.
Ready for anything.
So a whole lot happened there, and that was a very good engage by the Jesters, and then it was immediately countered out by Disco Fairy sending Robin up to the top, but then Kernoan decided to go on the Scylla, who had had a lot of options to get away there. I feel like if they just focused on the one target, the crippled out Cirquette, it would have been able to, you know, lock it down and get the kill, maybe transition it into a Gold Fury. But they're going to pick up the Bull Demon as a consolation prize here. You know, a first one of the game, by the way, 10 minutes in. It is you want more, you know, a little bit of discoordination there was not ideal for Kernoan and the Royal Jesters, but, you know, these teams have only been together for so long. This is a shorter format for OSL, so, you know, sometimes not everything clicks. But it's still, there's a little bit to be desired from that fight, and I think they were looking for it, and they thought Scylla was the best target. Unfortunately, Scylla was able to slip away, but they did get Bull Demon, and they are pressing some advantage here. Aztec thinks he has the advantage, but not anymore, because now there's 3 here.
No ultimate available for the Chuck. I'm a monster, rips on over the top, but Snicks was able to get the kill locked down before that even happened. 4-man rotation over to solo lane. They get one, and you know, I think you said it very clearly just a moment ago. I think they want something more. But what more can you do on this side of the map? Go and push down a tower? There's no buff to invade. There's no Bull Demon to take. Gold Fury's on the other end of the map. There's no beacon up yet. Like, so you're in this rough situation where now we're sitting here, dead even in gold, almost dead even in kills. Everything just feels like dead even. Look at that. XP, gold, everything's the exact same right now. It's insane how just back and forth this game has been.
When it's 3 digits or less, like it's literally 22 right now.
It's 22.
And that is a wild number to see. But there's really not much you could do. You could have taken the teleporter over and gone for Gold Fury, but Cupid's down. He's really not trying to fight right now. He's not trying to do objectives. He's trying to get his farm, get his item. I believe he only has those Crimson Claws right now until he just backed right now to get that Executioner. So now he has that shred. And it looks like Sea-Host might be getting shredded here. No, that's Sea-Host avoiding everything.
You know, sometimes I just left, right, and dodge the entire enemy kit.
A little 80-80.
Yeah, a little. It works out just a little the same. Snicks just got to back off, but it's right at 12 minutes, right when the beacon ended up spawning. Sahas does use the ultimate, though, to try to immune some of the crush damage from Archon Eevee. A little bit face-to-face action, but look who's rotating on in. It is Aztec who comes up behind. Expert does rotate in right behind Vayu. Here as well, it's going to be a 5v5 brawl for the beacon at 12 minutes here in game number 1. Archon Eevee some great damage, dashes on away. 1 HP is the Scylla, goes up into the Eye Monster and rips on down onto Kernoan. Does secure the kill, and Royal Jesters get the beacon. They do want to keep pushing this one on out, though, as Snicks drops the ultimate onto Vayu, jumps on away. So far, a little bit of okay, you know, so we can back off from this one, surely. Surely, guys, come on.
They might want to. It seems like they're debating it. It looks like Kernoan there went a little bit too deep and got punished for it. And I think Snicks J was trying to grab Sea-Host there, but instead hit the Ishtar. They were right on top of each other, so they couldn't get the exact. It was probably his targeter looked like it was on Aphrodite, but it was on Ishtar. So it was just trying to snag the right person. He unfortunately couldn't. So it was just he didn't get the right target there. Ishtar was able to slip out, but Kernoan overstepping his bounds, testing the waters a bit too much, and gets punished for it. But the beacon does go their way. It buys a lot of time for the Jesters to just secure that objective. So I wouldn't be too upset about it. I mean, I would have liked to kill the Scylla, but it's you give and you take. You know, looks like Clay City. A lot has been, speaking of taking, a lot has been taken away from Clay City here. His ability to fight in this lane, this Cupid, what it likes to do is it likes to pressure, it likes to throw those ultimates down, and it likes to fight. It wants to box you, and it wants to beat you. but all this pressure has been taken away from him by this early game start, and it's not been going well for Clay City.
Nah, Clay City's definitely been feeling it over here in the dual lane side. I mean, Royal Jesters have been going back to back, trying to invade repeatedly, even after getting a huge response from Eternal Vanguard, where they return invaded and got kills off of it. So, the fact that he still wants to fight it out, I'm not worried. Aztec's playing Shock. He's surely fine, right? Surely. Yeah, I'm a little worried now. I'm starting to get worried. Aztec doing his best to get some distance from the... Yeah, I'm just gonna put it out there. I'm worried he's dead.
He tried to learn from me in the last game, where I absolutely styled on him with that shock teleport. But it looks like Torment is what is going through right now. Clay City sent up and pounded down.
One kill off the board, the Cupid gone. This could look really nice for the Royal Jesters, as Snyx does not have the ultimate and is low on mana. Engage coming in for the Royal Jesters as Expert getting removed, getting deleted, and sent back to the Fountain. Expert gone. Vayu getting the pickup onto that one. 2 members down for Eternal Vanguard. Aztec coming back up just now, has the persistent teleport, is going to be able to rotate on in here. Arcanivy wanting to lurk around nearby because he has the ultimate available, but it looks like he's going to do his due diligence and not just leave, and I don't blame you for that one.
Neither do I. That fight, that in-game was, one that I wasn't expecting to go so explosively, because I believe the Epic Uppercut was burned onto Delvin? I wasn't entirely sure which one was hit by it, but then Clay City got sent, I believe got knocked back. I don't know exactly what happened. I think the Chalk knocked him up. Not the Chalk, the back off knocked him back. Delvin might have knocked him up with the Maui ultimate. And he was just pushed, pulled, and then he was slammed by a fist from Robin. And immediately, you don't want that fight. And it was chased down Expert with this build. He didn't have the T2 Pestilence that he has now, so he's not tanky. Especially not to C-Host, to Aphrodite.
Ready for
You don't think of her as the damage-dealing type. The most recent metas where Aphrodite has been viable, she's been a support. Right? She's not the damage dealer. But Aphrodite still hurts. And you gotta remember that. You gotta respect the damage that can be done by this pick. And he got absolutely shredded.
I mean, take a look at the build right now. Conduit into Chronos, into Spear of Desolation, now going into a Mirrodin. There's a lot of just power items here getting built by Sauce on this Aphrodite. It's gonna hurt. You gotta be careful. 30% CDR out of the gate, about to be 40% CDR for an Aphrodite. You're gonna feel it. You're gonna feel it very quick.
Pretty sure he already has 40% with that too, unless I'm crazy. But
no, you might be right. Yeah, you are right, because it's got 10%.
It does have 10%.
Yeah,
yes. Bro, we're between 2 different Smite worlds right now.
Yeah,
it's
difficult.
Really... It's difficult.
I'm trying to remember Smite 1 and Smite 2 items.
It is a whole new dictionary that you're learning. But this build at Aztec, oh no, it got caught at the last frame with the teleport, and he's getting caught out. The storm call comes through, but it's only a matter of time. Last breath is what you're counting right now. A couple of breaths were taken after it. Put down. Robin picks up another one in response. So even trade.
That's exactly what you want to see right there. Snyx ganks one side of the map, shuts down, or I don't want to say shuts down, locks down. Aztec, who was going for a proxy, maybe into rotation for the next beacon. Not going to be able to get that one, but on the opposite end, the Cupid going down. Kernoan rotates on in mid and finishes off Snyx. This is looking like a good pressure for Royal Jesters to get beacon, get pyro, maybe even a tier 1 in mid. A lot of potential here right now from your order side team.
Was, kind of an awkward spot here. The pluck from Delvin, immune to out by the Epic Uppercut. Full reset out now. They don't want to fight this anymore. They really don't. It is not a good situation now.
Flat out was just like, get me out. I wanna leave, please. Can I go home? I wanna reset. Beacon going down, tier 1 tower going down, and now 5 members of Royal Jesters rotating on into the beacon. What is the response of Eternal Vanguard? I don't think your odds stepping in here are looking too good, because let's be honest, that Pyro's getting absolutely shredded. Arcanivy is stepping up, Disco Fairy blinks on in, gets in front of the Royal Jesters team, but it looks like they're gonna walk away with that one.
That was a 4-man mez, by the way. So they are allowed to walk away because Disco Fairy hit a fat mez right there. I don't know if Jesters wanted a fight, but they could have taken it. C-Host was low on mana, so I don't think they wanted it. Aphrodite having mana is pretty critical to this, but I'd say Aphrodite. She picked up Shell. She's not going Aegis into the Scylla. She has that Undying Love to immune it out, but she feels like she doesn't need Aegis, which I actually think is a very smart choice here, because realistically, your damage that you're trying to immune out would be from Scylla. If you're saving Undying Love for that, that's fine. And granted, there's other situations where you're saving Undying Love, but the Shell is what's going to help you for pretty much everybody else. You don't need an Aegis for the damage that Wukong's going to do. But it looks like Aztec might want an Aegis for the damage that's going into him.
You know, Snyx has been just on Aztec's rear for 19.5 minutes. And if you look at that, we're at 19.5 minutes. Not even giving this Chuck a moment to breathe. They're diving him under tower. They lock him down yet again. You're going to proxy us? Cool, I'll kill you there. You're going to be at our tower line? I'm going to kill you there. You're going to be inside your own tower line? Yeah, by the way, I'll kill you there too. Right now, that is all they were showing, is that this Chalk can die. We are going to stay on top of it. And Royal Jesters, likewise, just finding opportunities on the end of the map.
Disco Fairy with the perfect patience there. He waited for Kernoin to use those bees. He knew he was going to. The fight comes out.
Oh, Clay City drops the ultimate. And it looks like the Turtle Vanguard wants to get some follow-up here after the Cold Fury goes down. Separation of the fight with Mao drop Aldrin. It looks like they want to walk away from this one. Truly not a terrific fight for Royal Jesters. That's immediately turning around because nobody's watching by on the opposite end of the wall. Just peg autos into Clay City. Ends up deleting him. Disco Fairy is low. Snyx rotates on in and finishes off Sahas. Aphrodite off the board. You're not going to be getting those heals. Last breath on top of Delvin, and Expert finishes it off. Expert doing his best to run away now as Vayu chasing him on down. Oh man, the Wukong is so low. Get him out of here. They're gonna split up. They should be able to lock this one down.
I don't know. Oxform is coming up. He birded. He's donezo. The storm call was there, and you know, there's only so much you could do. But he loses the Aegis there because Scylla came in around trying to help. But we were talking about Serket needing the perfect opportunity to come in, and Snyx Jake found it right there. Taking down, I believe, both Delvin and Seahost. Kernoin was out of the fight at the start of that because of the immaculate patience from Disco Fairy there. Disco Fairy was in Kernoin's head there. It's like you're gonna beat now, and whoa, in your head and all over your body is that what's it called? I don't even know. I don't even know what it's called. What do scorpions have? The stinger of the Serket here. That is Crit Cat right now. Crit Serket absolutely annihilating Kernoin.
Yeah, has the Rage online, fully stacked, has starter upgrade done already. This Serket's level 20 in 20 minutes. I'm sure feeling very good. He's going to be getting, I would assume, the Deathbringer after this to just further extend that crit damage. And I mean, having crit naturally on the two, I'm sorry, no, the one can crit. That's what it is. I can remember Smite 1 things. Having crit capabilities on the one is just going to allow that further burst potential. And it was one of the other paths that I think you need to go into with Serket. Is like, yeah, full power, get some crit on there, and just try to one-shot people before you can get stunned, mezzed, killed yourself. Truly putting on a good show right now. Snyx is playing this god very nicely.
I mean, when I think of Snyx J, I do think of picks that like start fights on their terms. Thor likes to do that. Camazotz likes to do that, and Serket fits that well. I mean, it fits the bill perfectly. Serket likes to start fights on her terms, and that Cobra's Kiss is her terms. That crit is her terms, and that is, you know, it's been going very well for her. 9-1-2 on Serket right now. Aztec doesn't seem to be part of her term, at least not now. Turning into her, but he's still taking quite a bit of damage. Clay City though, needs help.
Oh, ultimate dropped by Clay City. The fields are low. We're gone. Dash away in, buddy. That's just Robin things. Like, I'm just gonna like sign that one. That's just Robin things. I'm sure he feels that one. And that was what I was concerned about back in Picks and Bans when we saw the Robin get locked in, and then we're picking Cupid into it. We'll see if things change up with a little bit of more grouping right now, but, you know, when we're seeing ganks happen on the opposite end of the map for Turtle Vanguard, the Royal Jesters are doing objectives on the opposite end of the map. You know, 2 times on the Bull Demon, 2 times on the Gold Fury. They got the first Pyromancer. They're lining up to take this Pyromancer. It just feels like Royal Jesters right now are sticking on top of getting these objectives, locking them down, and that is giving them a little bit of a gold lead. And I say a little bit because we're only at 3,000 gold between these two teams.
You know, it is. It really is. They're playing this objective play incredibly well. Their macro on the map has been done incredibly well. Aztec's been rotating at good times, and he's been the one who started the rotations. It's not Expert choosing to go first. He's not birding over, using that extra mobility to get there. It's Aztec who's deciding the pace of the solo laner's movement. It's Aztec who's coming over and, you know, making a bit more of an impact in the fights. Expert's obviously making an impact, but he's Wukong. You know, Wukong makes impact. And Shock also makes impact, but Aztec has been put down multiple times in this game, but has maintained a lead the entire game. Looks like SnixJ looking for a bit more here.
Last breath onto Kurnoin, uses the ultimate and the 2 overhead kick to just get himself some distance over there. Does find his way on out. Problem is, the objective's already gone. So what are you fighting for right now, Eternal Vanguard? We were just talking about the macro play of the Royal Jesters. They locked down the objective, and it just feels like Eternal Vanguard has been in this response situation, you know, where it's like, oh, they did Pyroman, so let's try to get a fight. Oh, they did Gold Fairy, let's try to get a fight after. See if we can get something back off of this. And it's just not turning out in their favor in the overall situation. Expert running away from this Aphrodite. Yeah, support pick, right? No. Full damage Aphrodite. She hurts, she slaps, and Expert's definitely feeling it.
Expert's build also doesn't, isn't conducive to, traditional tanking. Granted, he is Wukong, and Wukong doesn't really go the full tank style. That's not his style. Wukong likes to get a couple of damage. The Soul Eater being one. It looks like he's going into probably a Brawler. And he's going to look to get that anti-heal out. A little bit more anti-heal. That's the SnixJ! You know, the best anti-heal is dying.
Where did he go?
I don't know.
There and then he just wasn't. Very abruptly. Yeah, I mean, return to Earth. Thank you very much. Have a nice day. We appreciate your fertilizer. 25-minute Fire Giant getting pulled by Royal Jesters. Dropped, looking for the fight. They popped the sprint. They're chasing. They didn't prop the sprint yet. They're just chasing on down Free Fire right now and seeing what they can find. A lot of damage getting spread across the members of Eternal Vanguard. The Cupid does give himself some distance, though, from Aztec. Look at that HP on the Cupid. Look at the HP on the Wukong sitting up in the air on Disco Fairy in the back. You know, just a difficult situation overall. Disco Fairy gets pulled right back on in. Sent on to the gray screen as well. You can return to soil yourself as well. Look at this. We're fertilizing the plants.
Bro took the mountain down to the ground, took some soil out, and put some back in by putting Disco Fairy in. That is wild. But no, that fight was really well in. Left side, Archon Eating forced to Aegis, and it's only going to buy you a couple seconds. What is Clay City doing? This is a bit of an ambitious move here from Clay City. The root comes out, and he will get Kurnoin, but will he get the Fire Giant? Serket's back in now, and she's got to buy some time for herself. That's only so much time you can buy.
No, exactly. This is such a difficult situation for Eternal Vanguard because I feel like as soon as you lose that one member out the back end of a fight like that, good night, experts! But what I was saying was, when you're in that situation, you lose one member off of a team who's playing objectives, playing this macro very nicely. They go in, they pull the Fire Giant just to bait you in, they go out, they get a pick. They go back to the objective, you step up, they go out, they get a pick. And they're whittling down your HP bars, they're spreading out your death timers, and then you're walking in this one at a time scenario. And slowly but surely, that burn is going to go in favor of the Royal Jesters. And sure enough, that burn went in favor of the Royal Jesters, not only locking themselves down with a Fire Giant, locking down the middle Phoenix as well. Tier 2 tower in solo lane, looking for another Phoenix. There's 3 members off the board for 5 more seconds. I'm pretty sure this Phoenix is gone. Just like that, the solo lane Phoenix gone as well. Looking really great for the Royal Jesters. 2 birds off the map, and look at that tier 2 tower over in the duo lane. It's seen better days, and look at that. Yeah, I was about to call out the goal difference immediately. How swiftly that happens. You get a good fight, you're playing the macro very nicely, and you're just like, bam, one objective after another, and this is how you see the gold lead start to spread. Royal Jesters, really great for them to just back off right there. Go, let's spend this gold, let's go for a nice push-up. We are over 10k up now.
Yeah, it is a big turn. The Jesters have that Fire Giant. They all pulled off immediately. I was talking about a bit of a, disconnect before, but it seems like that connection was, the wires were put together. The rope was tied and everything was put, it's a fancy bow. Fancy bow on the present. It's almost Christmas time. Fancy bow on the present. And now it's looking real good. They're working together well, and they all got off the Fire Giant. There was no commit to it. And then when they were ready to commit, there was no way they were going to really steal it unless Circuit got like a wild crit, right? It was secure, 100% secure. And then that turned into getting more kills. That turned into getting 2 Phoenixes. And now Eternal Vanguard is going to have to climb a real maybe 2 or 3 mountains to get back into this one because of how much on the back foot they are. 2 Phoenixes down, but Kumakarna sending one up.
Well, looks like Kernoin wants to engage on Ark and Eevee with the Mystic Crush. Forces out the Aegis from the Scylla, but ultimately gets removed from the map. All the while, the Royal Jesters pushing on down. They knocked down the tier 2 tower. They're looking to push into this Phoenix. Unfortunately, they weren't good enough. Absolutely, they know the Wukong's there. The reach goes out from Mini Delvin, but the Wukong blinks it right on over. Landfall comes on out, and Aztec is on the back line, separating this fight into 2. Disco Fairies getting absolutely shredded by the back line of the Royal Jesters. Stella drops the Anima Monster right in the middle onto Aztec's face, and he walks away. I say walks away, he teleports right back in like nothing happened.
This is a bit of a, he hit him with the loop-de-loop and pull, and the shoes are looking cool right now. This is a left side Phoenix being sieged down now, and Clay City's now back in the base, clearing it out, but they have to, buy time for this Phoenix, because losing all 3 Phoenixes is incredibly difficult to come back from. The root coming up for turn on the Seahos. Seahos might be caught here.
Does not have the ultimate available. No relics as well, but Vayu ends up knocking down Expert as he chases on down. Vayu getting him a 2nd kill. Aztec getting removed. Vayu with the triple kill. 2 members remaining from the Eternal Vanguard. Snyx ends up finishing off a host. And now with 3 members of the Royal Jesters remaining, only 2 up here. Look at those autos. Look at that shred on the Snyx with just 3 autos. Insane damage coming out of this Ishtar right now.
I think that, I don't know if Snyx ulted a minion or if he ulted somebody on the Jesters team, but that then hit minions, which then spread it to Seahost, which then exploded like 18 times around Seahost, which then killed him. So that is either the most galaxy brain play I've ever seen in my life, or luck, and I don't care which it is, because Seahost fell because of it. All 3 Phoenixes are down for Eternal Vanguard, but the mid lane one is coming up, and there's really 3 members up who could siege it, but I don't think they're going to. Because now Eternal Vanguard has just the respawn timers. Clay City's got 5 seconds and everybody else is up. So it wouldn't be the wisest move to try to siege into that.
I don't
Fire
think
Giant's coming up soon.
Yeah, exactly, right there. Fire Giant, okay? I don't think you need to siege this one. They have to defend it from the fire waves that are coming on down. You can push up the wave that's right here in the mid lane if you really feel like you need to give some added pressure, but you got to defend duo waves, you got to defend solo waves. You're split focused across this map right now. Royal Jesters kind of have it exactly where they need to, and I'm going to tailor this all back to the trickling in one at a time for the previous Fire Giant, for the basic Fire Giant. Now you're in a difficult position where you need to really just step on up here with a man down scenario as he's trying to push out the waves as far as he can to rotate on over. Fire Giant's already down to half HP. Just rotating around the back lane. Teleport coming in though from the Wukong. Ark and Eevee dashing on out as Aztec is pushing on into the back line. Disco Fairy sends one up. Kernoin finishes off Ark and Eevee. The Fire Giant still getting leashed by the Royal Jesters as the Chuck and Ravana, the double warrior, team up. Eternal Vanguard stole it away. Excuse me?
I think it was a Circat crit that stole it away, but is it going to be enough? Aztec 100% uptime, funny item, is slowing him down, keeping him locked in, but the Ox away will be enough to get him away. The Phoenixes are still the target. EFG might not be in their pockets, but the Phoenixes are on their mind.
Phoenixes are on their mind. The Titan is on their mind. 4 members of the Royal Jesters stepping on up, stepping on in. They have landfall. They have... Oh, well, there goes Aphrodite's ultimate herself. And take a look at the Titan already down to half HP. Expert jumps on in. Disco Fairy gets the lead. The Expert gets the lead. A double kill for the Aphrodite. And the Titan goes down. Game number 1 goes to the Royal Jesters tonight.
Aztec laughing over the Titan's corpse that fades away. It is a... Jesters, it was an even game for a good part of it. And then Jesters just, was getting objectives, just doing more on the map than Eternal Vanguard was. And that just won them the game. They were just ahead. And the dual lane was, heavily in Vayu's favor because of how they played the map. And they took it away from the solo side. And Aztec was fine. Even though he was getting ganked like on CD, he was still ahead. He was still ahead of the Expert for that entire game. There wasn't a point where he was behind. So it wasn't that big of a deal. And they were just winning everywhere. there's only a couple of mistakes that I could like say or like point out, but it really didn't end up mattering because they just out macroed their opponent.
Exactly. You know, out macroed, and it felt like the 1v1 matchups as well. You were talking way back at the start, way back in Picks and Bans about the Ishtar and Maui matchup into the Kumba and Cupid and how that's going to go over there in duo lane. Well, I mean, take a look at this one. 10, 2, and 23. There we go. We can do math. 10, 2, and 23 for the Royal Jesters. You look on the opposite side, and we're doing what? 3, 13, and 12. Okay, I think that matchup alone right there says a lot. But then you do look across the board, there are other members who really put in an insane impact. Kernoin with the 974 Ravana, easily matched though by Snyx, who was doing a phenomenal job on this Sorket to keep things going for his team, to find ganks, to lock down some members of the Jesters. They were doing their best to get on over. They were getting these great ganks off. But then back to that macro we were talking about. Royal Jesters was like, cool, you're going to do that, we're going to take Bull. Cool, you're going to do that, we're going to take the Gold Fury. We're going to take Gold Fury again. We're going to take the Pyromancer. We're just going to knock down stuff. We're going to apply pressure to you. And it just felt like getting ganks is good, but then there's the after. What is next? Okay, what comes after that gank? Ganking to gank, is that really going to be enough? So I think we have the building blocks here right now. If we are Eternal Vanguard, let's start putting them together. Let's see what else we can end up finding. All in all, though, what a start to the series. Royal Jesters taking a game one, setting the tone for this semi-final showdown. Eternal Vanguard's going to have to take a step back, take an approach to see what they do differently in Picks and Bans, what they do differently in the game. Let's see how they respond come game number 2. But we're going to go to a quick intermission before we get on over there. We will see you all here at the Olympus Smite League in just a few minutes. See you then. Welcome on back to the Olympus Smite League OSL Cup semifinals. Game 1 is in the books with the Royal Jesters taking the lead in this best of 3 series, but it is far from over. And I'm gonna tell you right now, the goal difference from last game really states that it is very far from over. Eternal Vanguard has claimed first pick here for game number 2. As we dive on in, I'm ZekVexol, joining here on the desk. With me is NotAValveGame, still tried and true. How are we feeling after that game 1?
You know, it was a close game for most of it, and I feel like that is on part because of the pressure that was put onto Clay City, and also because whenever SnyxJ made a play on solo side, Kernoin was responding, either going on Scylla in the mid or looking at something on left side. There was always proactivity from Kernoin to respond to SnyxJ getting active in solo lane. There was never a, I'm sitting here twiddling my thumbs on doing, you know, I'm hitting back camps, or I'm just standing staring at a wave, you know. Kernoin was always doing something to counter the proactivity of SnyxJ, which was just excellent. I also think that another thing we have to mention is Delvin's comfort on the Maui. This pick is something that people respect ban away from him in second phases usually. This is his, you know, favorite pick. It is something that he goes to when he wants to win, and it feels good for him. He loves the pick. So I'm not surprised to see him go absolutely nuts on it. There are certain points in the game where it was literally just perfectly played. You know, the expert's on Eternal Vanguard, but he is the Maui expert. Delvin is. There were certain points in the game where he literally expertly played certain situations.
Expertly played certain situations. The setup looked phenomenal. The positioning was really great. Well, let's hop on in to Picks and Bans for game number 2. Like we mentioned, Eternal Vanguard taking away first pick in this game. Are we expecting any change-ups going into this game number 2? I know you just mentioned that the Maui is something that usually gets respect banned over in game number 2. Are we going to be expecting that from the Vanguard?
I don't know if it's going to be in the first round. I do not expect them to let Upwash through unless they are comfortable first picking it, which I don't know if they are. And clearly they're not, because they banned it away. Robin banned away by the Jesters. They do not want to give that to anybody. Aphrodite is taken away. That is a respect ban. They do not want to deal with that from C-Host again.
You know, if you just focus all your bans on the Royal Jesters mid laner, surely things will go out in your favor, right? That's how that goes. Honestly, I wouldn't even put it past that this Yamoja is probably a Sahas ban as well in some playbook.
It is not. Hey, bro. Listen, he got Jormungandr's in the pool. He plays
Jormund, yeah.
Jorm's in the pool, but Yamoja, that's a little grief.
We're going to have to work on that. Expect great things by the next OSL tournament.
That would be wild to see host going absolutely nuclear on the Emoja, getting like 1,200 damage off with the Emoja crash. But Nike's open for Eternal Vanguard, and Nike's
Now
going to be
is the
picked. They don't
time.
want to give it to Aztec. Aztec's best pick, I'd say by a pretty good margin. He's very effective on the Nike,
We
so I'm
make
not surprised to
war
see
so
them
that
go
we
to
may
it to take it
live
away,
in
almost as like a
peace.
light ban, but it also could just be a comfort pick for the expert as well. Amaterasu is the instant answer by Royal Jesters. They don't even want to debate, hold that for third. They're just going straight to that, and they're going to pick up, I would assume, either to be Hachiman for Vayu, or they could look at Delvin's support again. But
I'm
I
gonna be
do
honest.
think it's just
Yeah.
Hachiman would be a good pick.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. This Amaterasu pick, it was banned away first by the Royal Jesters back in game number 1, and I feel like they know exactly what this pick is capable of. Same thing that we saw with the Ravana getting picked up back in game number 1. They know what these picks are capable of, and we talked back in game 1 about Chalk and what he was building first item, and it was Frostbound Hammer. And let's be honest, Amaterasu, 100% uptime Frostbound Hammer does not feel good. Tiamat getting locked in for the other pick for Royal Jesters here in the first one, another one that got banned away in game 1.
Oh, it feels good for the Alma for sure, but it doesn't feel good for anybody else. The Tiamat being picked up, you know what? I'm surprised I didn't think of it because it's a pick. Tablet got buffed. And Tiamat, when you think of Tiamat, you think of Tablet. She's a character that just procs it endlessly. She is so effective with it, so I'm not surprised to see Cios go to it. Scylla will be picked up once again for Archon Eevee, going back to that pick. I mean, it did pretty well. I'm not too surprised about it.
It did well. It had some great damage, had some great lockdown potential, and I feel like there's a lot that could go for it. Now, all I really think I need to see, though, is something that shreds a little bit more from Eternal Vanguard. Like, you got good burst damage, you got good secure with the Scylla, but I can get to that one later. But, like, I felt like the Cupid just wasn't that shredding ADC that we were looking for. And I think we mentioned there was a time in the early game where there was a good opportunity for Vanguard to look towards the Gold Fury, but your Cupid was behind. He didn't have Executioner online, and he's an early game Cupid. So we're a little bit in this struggle bus of we can't go for the objective and a good opportunity to go for the objective. So will we see that kind of switch up? That's what I'm waiting to see when we get to stage 2. But that Jing Chen, though, you gave me a huh. What else do you think about it?
I think it's a bit early to pick a Jing Chen in this situation. I don't think it's going to get banned. There's definitely some better picks you could have picked up, like the Hachiman. Or you could go to Ishtar. You can go to something else. Clay City is also one of the only players I see go to Newt. So it is you could have picked something else, but it looks like Ishtar will be the ban away, as well as Thor for the Royal Jesters. They're probably going to ban Kamazots once again and take it away from Snix J. They will. That Serket did quite a bit of work last game, though, so I would not, be too shocked to see him go to it again, especially with an Amaterasu, a pick that doesn't really build as tanky as some of the other picks in that solo slot. So Serket could get some work done.
Oh, Serket's still on the table. Ratatasker being the last ban from Eternal Vanguard, and I have a lot of indifferences about this pick right now. I love him so much. I love him to death. One of my favorite gods in the game, but man, I feel like talk about gods on a struggle bus. It just feels like that Acorn Blast, not the Acorn Blast, the Acorn Purchase was the difficult. Hachi. Yeah, we talked about it. Here he is. In
if
phase
Vayu's
2.
in a game, it's very likely that Hachiman will be picked. That's not a shot at him. That is just a lot of last season for Going Ghost, they just put him on this pick and he performed. There's no reason to take him away from it. And it looks like Clay City is going to what I just mentioned, the Newt. Willix will be the pairing with it, which is a little odd. I guess it's specifically for the Tiamat. There's no other, real. Jing Chen's got a knock up. Nike's got a knock up, but there's only one leap. Yes, she does.
Yeah.
She does, but that's a bit of a
it's a stretch.
high committal setup.
I think you kind of said it very clear. I'm looking at this Wheelix, and in terms of just team comp synergy, it's a little bit weird placement. I do feel like this is the shred that the team is missing, if I'm being entirely honest. If you're not using the ultimate to go on to any one character, to go and utilize it for the pull, you still have that massive stim, probably one of the best stims in the entire game, to shred down an objective. So, I look towards it like that. I'll be optimistic on that front. But I do feel like Awilix is a character who is great in her own right and just gets better through that team synergy or the enemy team having leaps. And with Tiamat being the only one on the Royal Jesters team comp who has that leap, you're going to rely a lot on your team synergy, the Nike getting in there, Jingchan as mentioned. Royal Jesters finishing out their draft with Tsukuyomi.
A very you know, he kind of gets in and out of fights. When he commits, right? But he has a ton of poke with that first ability. His third ability as well denies a ton of area. He also has a very good matchup into a Wheelix. It is difficult for her to box when she can't basic attack somebody. That disarm from his second ability, it is, makes it difficult for her to play the game. Having to use an ability to set up for that Feather Step, not being able to get that, ×2 effect from Feather Step is not, too great for the Wheelix. Wheelix also doesn't really like fighting Tsukiyomi because of how much slowdown he has for her. He can play the spacing game with her, and Wheelix wants to get in close, wants to fight you, with her claws. And Tsukiyomi can just play that spacing game. So it's not ideal for SnixJ. But then again, we said the Circuit wasn't ideal last game for SnixJ, and Circuit did some work. So we'll have to see what this Wheelix can do. Can it be, the wild card that they need in this situation? Because right now, listen, Clay City sings the praises of this pick, this Newt. Right? I think the pick's okay. I don't think it's fantastic though.
A lot of potential for the Newt, and it's I think it's okay, but it's not fantastic. I think you just hit the nail right there on the head. I'm excited to see the Tsukiyomi. It's comfort. There we go. But so is the Cupid. The Tsukiyomi, though, I'm interested to see this one. I've actually been cooking up a lot with Tsukiyomi lately. I think when you look at the jungle side of things, you're looking at two different fronts. The gods who can get in there and one-shot a character with that all-in engage, and your Thors, who's just go all in. Lancelot, who can just roll over his kid, roll over his buttons. Ravana, who can just all in and just one-shot any carry. But then the other aspect that you look at is these characters who can poke from a very long distance. The Tsukiyomis, the Bastats, who don't have to all in commit. The Cleo, who can just hit you from afar. Okay, now I can commit once the final time comes in. With Crusher getting a really nice sizable buff, there's a lot of potential for dot builds to be coming in where he can just throw out abilities. And I'll be honest, I've been playing around with even things such as dominance on a character like this in Titan's Bane, to where you throw out your ranged auto attack and it procs Titan's Bane and dominance at the same time. It's been so much fun to just try different things on these characters in this season of Smite.
Have you played Frostbound Hammer Tsukiyomi?
I might have.
It is a disgusting thing to do. I personally, when Tsukiyomi solo, that first ability with that auto attack that slows, the auto attack itself does not slow technically. It steals movement speed.
Yes, there you go.
And then you put a slow on top of that. At what point do you just hit 0? You just can't move. You're rooted, but you're not. If you have 0 movement speed, you're rooted, right? It's just you are turbo slowed by the Tsukiyomi. The third ability slows. I don't think Kernoan is going Frostbound Hammer. I highly doubt that. It is, not the optimal jungle pathing. And if you are going to go it, you're probably going to go first. So we would have to see if he's cooking real spicy. We'll see it, but I doubt it.
Yeah, if he goes at first too, I do believe that Tier 1 Cudgel actually has a lot better stats than Tier 1 Mace.
It has better stats than Tier 1 Mace, it does.
Who knows? We'll see. We'll see, though, once we get on into game number 2. Eternal Vanguard going against Royal Jesters here in your semifinals matchup. Who is going to come out on top? Will Eternal Vanguard pull this one on back, or Royal Jesters going to walk away with a lovely 2-0 to kick off this bracket? I am excited to see what happens. No Cudgel, Mace, start for Canoin, but here we are.
I believe that Mace either has 10 or 15 power on it, and Cudgel has 10 power and 50 health. 10 power, and then Cudgel has 10 power and 50 health. Yeah, Cudgel stats are just better. Get diffed, loser. That's it. This Newt is probably gonna have a lot of tension brought through because her escapability is worse than Cupid's. She has that mini. It's not even a dash. It's a blink. It's like a Merlin flicker, but she gets damage out of it, damage done from it, and she slows an enemy with it. But she also has less distance with it. Mm-hmm. She also is a newer character to, Smite's roster. A bit of damage, a bit of clear, and she's got an interesting way to play the game. Not a lot of people are used to it, especially with the amount of poke that she could do. We'll have to see how Clay City pilots it, because he's very good with this pick. But he's the only person playing it.
I'm excited to see what he does with it, because I know when I play it, I too just kind of go back to what I was mentioning before on Tsukiyomi. I go to this ability based with Crusher and slap in a dominance, and then when you use your one, you just get this double shredding ability that also slaps auto attack damage at the same time. And you know, I feel like there's funny potential on that front. He went Aegis first. What are your thoughts on that one?
Interesting, but it is a. It looks like Expert might need an Aegis because Expert goes down to Aztec. But the Aegis first is interesting, but it's also because he's into not too much CC. Granted, he's into the Ganesha, who has a decent amount, but the Hachimon damage, Tiamat damage, Tsukiyomi damage. That is the threat from them, not the CC they provide most of the time.
Frostbound Amma though is coming.
So?
Frostbound Amma has your number.
Yeah, he's gonna be there free 12. It's a little, you know, early. But Seahost might be beating an early grave here. Chasing him down. SnixJ finally gets it with a couple more pokes.
1 for 1 here in 2 minutes in. Expert pushed back under tower right out of the gate. Kernoin did make a rotation on over here, but I feel like Aztec is just kind of getting the better end of this situation. You're gonna expect a little bit of a maybe a freeze wave against this Nike. Something I am looking forward to is maybe some earlier Bull Demons here in game number 2 with the Amma being on this side of the map. Having her passive to be able to just deal increased damage against it. Possible.
I don't think Aztec's going to freeze wave solely for the fact that he does not. Either he does not have the patience for it, or he does not care enough. It is, you know, some people freeze waves. I'm a person who freezes waves, especially when I have an advantage like this. But Aztec, you know, he might need to freeze a bit because he gets caught with his hands behind his back right there. And he's got to surrender himself because his dash gets caught and there's nothing he can do. Wheelix comes in with the blink and finishes him off.
That's something you got to be wary of, is where is the jungler in the early stages of the game. Wheelix being one of the junglers who has a little bit better mobility, how she can hop up on Suku and use that to get around the map. Similar to, you know, your Pele's, Surcat having a lot of mobility, so maybe it's just Nyx's forte of, here, let me just pick these characters who can get around the map very quickly. Let's go for a lot of early ganks. And I mean, if game 1 has anything to say about it, we know Eternal Vanguard, we know Nyx loves to play on this solo side. So that's something that should always be in the back of my head if I'm Royal Jesters, and most importantly, if I'm Aztec.
That is a SnixJ special. Sit on solo side. Can't camp solo lane, can't be number 1. The right here though, for the Whirlwind of Rage and Steel throws Ganesha through. Vayu's the target. You pulled it back of the tower?
Vayu ends up going down. Mini Delvin gets pulled on in. Is just gonna chill in the back right now. Honestly, you know, we were talking about Nyx rotating over to solo lane, which is seeing a little bit of 1v1 action as Aztec is just autoing down. Expert finishes him off, but Arcanevi rotates on in. I'm a monster from downtown puts down the Amaterasu after the 1v1 scenario. But Nyx, though, rotating over, getting the gank on solo lane, then immediately going to the opposite end of the map, getting a gank over into duo lane, just showing what kind of potential this mobility has.
SnixJ, though, Kernoin losing out on this trade, and SnixJ kind of just beat him down, and poked him real through, put him on the skewer. That Archon Eevee there. Also, this has got to be a comfort pick for him. This Scylla has to be, because he started that ultimate like around the spot of Blueback, Aztec's Blueback, right? And he threw it in. Mounted Archery comes out.
Mounted Archery comes on out. SnixJ jumps on in. Aegis was used. Mini Delvin goes on down. Nyx gets another one. 5-0 on this Wheelix. Already has the Jotuns fully upgraded. This is exactly where you want to be in the early stages as a jungler. Take a look at this. Kernoin, who was just killed, by the way, by the Wheelix. Sticking around for this one. The dash gets caught. Vayu goes down. 6-0 now on the Wheelix. But Kernoin, who went over and just died to Nyx, who had full Jotuns at that time, gets the backup and only gets tier 2 of the mace. Like, this shows how far ahead this Wheelix is in only 5 minutes into this game.
Bro, this Wheelix is having the ranked game dream right now. Just getting as much as she wants. Everywhere she goes, she takes. And that's all she can dream of right now. Wheelix is having a absolutely electric start. And right now, for Eternal Vanguard, you want SnixJ to be the one, you know, driving the car. He's the one setting the pace, and because right now, his solo side hasn't really been going your way. right? But duo side, which last game went the Jesters' way pretty handily because of how they played it, is now going your way. Mid lane, also kind of neutral right now, but also Eevee's getting a bit more active than Seahost is. Seahost died once. That's all that really happened. Seahost has just been farming since then. And Eevee rotated over, got a kill onto Aztec. And that was a pretty big pickup because Aztec has gotten kills. Looks like Aztec might be the target once again.
One man up for the Amaterasu could step in the tower, though. Look who's here this time. Oh, it is the Tsukiyomi. Piercing Moonlight does reach out onto the Aurelix. You cannot auto! You are disarmed. The shutdown is massive onto the Aurelix. Nike jumping on over the top. Expert looking to finish off. Kernoin does do so as well, even getting the beads. But signed your own death wish as Aztec gets the finish off. And it looks like, well, Royal Jesters come out on top in the 2v2 scenario. And I think heavily too.
That was heavily in their favor, especially because Snyx was, I think he took a tower shot after that feather step, and that's more of just a issue of him going a bit too aggressive. That's not really a issue on the side of, like, that wasn't something that Aztec did that was special, right? Aztec did what he needed to do when a Wheelix came in, right? And that was stare at her, so I can't get knocked up and I don't get pulled, right? And then Snyx just said, all right, I'm feather stepping you anyway, and then took a tower shot, and then Tsukiyomi was there to follow up in return. Kernoin answering Snyx J. Last game he was doing it like very quickly, almost every single time. Now he's coming in, answering him a bit more. He had a little bit of a delay because of that 1v1 not going his way, but now he's back and he's looking to, answer the phone. He's picking up the phone real quick. Looks like we have a brief pause coming out, though.
Yeah, brief pause as players try to figure out the expert scenario. And I mean, here we are, game number 2. We can go over things a little bit nicer. We don't have a 22 gold difference between these two teams. We have about 1,000. Eternal Vanguard having a nice steady start, but take a look at that right there. That dip right there was Snyx dying. I can guarantee it. That gold going towards Kernoin. That was huge.
100% that is Snyx dying, because that is a 6-0 shutdown for, I believe it was was it Kernoin who got it?
Kernoin did get it, yes.
Kernoin got it. So that is a huge pickup for him. And that is, you had the gas pedal and then suddenly you were stepping on it and then the brakes didn't work. And that is terrifying. So you are slowed down a bit. Thankfully you didn't crash into a wall, but you were slowed down quite a bit if you're Snyx J now, because you still have the proactivity, you're still ahead. But that shutdown, propelled Kernoin quite a bit forward.
Yeah, comeback mechanics in Smite are very essential, and it caused a lot of that gap to just be closed. I mean, we're still a 2-level lead right now for Snyx J, but there's a time where you start to get those, okay, I'm 4-0, I'm 5-0, I'm 6-0. I need to start going into this fight thinking I am more valuable than everybody dying in this fight. And it's a really selfish way of thinking, but it's unfortunately a very correct way of thinking, where that shutdown golden XP does go a massive way if you allow a team to get it. Now, kind of chilling for the Royal Jesters in a situation that I felt like Snyx J was, I don't want to say heavily walking away with, but it was starting to get to that point where if this Wheelix gets ahead far enough, fast enough, that she will have that ultimate to be able to shred stuff down with, like we mentioned back in Picks and Bans.
It's a little awkward for Kernoin here, because he is going to get grabbed. Aztec is in on Snyx J though. Sure, he doesn't get in, but Tsukiyomi wants in.
I'm a Monster does get used. Snyx J does back on up. Little fight around the Bull Demon, but nobody was even looking at the Bull Demon to begin with. Kernoin, though, ends up going down to the Expert, who jumps on in. Mini Delvin drops the ultimate. Low HPs for the Royal Jesters. Snyx J coming on back, though. No ultimate available for the Relix. Aztec getting locked on down. Feather Step holds it in place off of the dash. Expert jumps on in over the top. But Royal Jesters right by their tier 2 tower should be out, but Saas jumps on over. They get away to the safety of their tier 2 tower. Eternal Vanguard on the chase down. And here I'm going to go back to what we were talking about throughout game 1, through the end of the game 1. What's next? What else are you getting for this? They say red buff. Thinking blue buff right now, possibly even Bull Demon. Don't secure the blue buff, get the red buff, and yes, they do get the Bull Demon, so this is going to be an objective put. I'm going to hold my breath. Okay, I saw Kernoin walking up. Okay, there we go. They get the Bull Demon. There we go. Progress.
Progress. It is progress.
Just that it's progress.
It is a step forward now. But that fight was really well done for Eternal Vanguard. It is the interrupt on Aztec's dash. It is the pull onto Delvin to make sure he can't interrupt everything that's going on for Eternal Vanguard, all the damage, by SnixJ there. SnixJ is, you know, the conductor. He is just getting stuff done, and he's the one who's dictating the pace. It is just working for him. It is, you know, all the pieces are coming together. The puzzle is fitting, it is forming, and it just worked there. The pull on Delvin actually interrupted so much of what Jesters wanted to do. And I say that because Delvin couldn't interrupt anything that Vanguard wanted to do.
No, exactly. And it just feels like Snix and how he's moving in and out of the fight, whether he is the initial focus, which it felt like in that fight, was Royal Jesters getting active. And I mean, Disco Fairy doing this. Goes for the open, goes for the throw, lands it on a Delvin, who gets shredded on down. Say goodnight, Ganesha. We're going to send you right on out of here. But I can see what's kind of coming together right now for Eternal Vanguard in terms of we're going to drop the Whirlwind of Raging Steel onto somebody and then immediately pull them with a Gravity Surge and get a quick pick. And I think when you're playing this pick style team comp, that's exactly what you need to do. And then rely a little bit later on the group of team fight objectives. Aztec is going to survive. Kernoin jumps on in though with the piercing moonlight.
You beat me.
How did that turn around so quickly?
He just exploded. That's kind of just what happened. The Suki only does a ton of damage. That's really all it is. It's just an absolute. He's got you know, half a Hydras. He's not all the way there yet. But you know, he does quite a bit of damage. Aztec also does quite a bit of damage. So this Frostbite Hammer giving him power. Nike has 2 physical defense items. You know, he just kind of popped. I don't know what else to say.
Oh, kind of just popped, well, popped Snix, popped Expert, and popped his way back up to a even scenario in his matchup. Take a look at this. Already level 11 now, 11 minutes into the game, where we saw a level and a half deficit, 2-level deficit, and he's dead even now at this point. You know, they're taking over at just about the exact same time. I think Kernoin has made his way right back into this game, and that lead that we saw from the Aurelix at the start is just completely diminished, completely gone. Play City drops the Aegis, goes up in the air, but I'm sorry, Newt, you're gonna come back down in the exact same spot. And they know exactly that. Kernoin finishes off Play City, who is getting kind of cheeky going for this invade.
You know, it is a bit of a rough spot for Disco Fairy there. He tried to help his ADC, but, you know, you can't really do too much. And Archon Eevee is quite low here, but still walking in. SnixJ is riding out on Suku, so, you know, it's very difficult to catch up. And no speed buff for either jungler means that Suku's just faster. Looks like Value's picking up an invade now. Punished for their over-aggression. You know, Clay City went up, and Delvin placed down the Dharmic Pillars, waiting for him to land. Clay City was able to get out of it pretty much immediately, but still took a tick of it. And it was just too much damage. He fell. You know, the one thing about that ultimate, right? It's a lot of CC, it's a good amount of damage, but you are predictable. Much like Rama is, you are predictable where you are going to land. They know where you're going to go. So it is... especially for Ganesha, it is just easy for them to lock you down.
Exactly, easy to lock you down and it just blow you up on landing. It's something you got to be worried about when you do play a pick like this. And I mean, if I am Disco Fairy in that scenario, I kind of see my carry all the way up and enemy teams were up and I gotta go, okay, you kind of asked for this one. I'm gonna take a page out of the Lorax movies book and just say, let it die, let it die. Let it shrivel up and die right there. Okay, I'm gonna walk away. I'm gonna keep my own life, prioritize myself, because Disco Fairy going down there as well, it just felt like that opened up an opportunity for Royal Jesters to go, okay, let's clean up some stuff here in this side of the jungle. Let's go and get down the beacon. I do like that they're looking towards this full demon, though. They do end up securing that one, second one of the game for Eternal Vanguard, keeping this one close, but it does feel like Royal Jesters are bringing this one right back.
They're picking up the pace, right? Because that one fight was about a right? Just everything went well for Eternal Vanguard. It was, you know, a real setback for the Jesters. And the start SnixJ had is also another setback for the Jesters. It is a climb, but they are climbing, and it's not too big of a climb now, because it's, what, 1,000 gold if you're being generous here? More like 900. So it's not even that big of a deal. He dashed in, and Ganesha's right here. And that's the Dharmic Pillars.
Dharmic Pillars go down. Beats forced by the nuke. Disco Fairy rotating on in to peel for his support. Does end up doing so, but I mean, if I'm trading out Ganesha's ultimate for a beads on a carry, I'm all day, any day.
Oh,
I don't care.
Very happy about that. If anything, right? I don't think Clay City should have beads that at all. That didn't look like Bayou was going to follow up on that. And if he did, okay, cool. Just walk away. Seahaw's taking quite a bit of damage though. Arcane looking possibly aggressive. Kernoin is trying to counter that out real quick. Good damage. Does he get an ult? No.
Good damage going. I guess still missing a couple members of Eternal Vanguard. I think we found them over here as they march down the tier 1 tower in the dual lane, chasing down Mini Delvin though, and they do lock down the Elephant. Ganesha off the board. Clay City getting the pickup, and now it looks like they're moving towards the path of the Gold Fury. They do still have all of their ultimates available, so this could be a really great pickup. I'd love to see Wheelix just drop the ultimate right here and just shred this down as mentioned, but you know, they might not even need it at this situation because Royal Jesters decided to cut their losses and go for the Pyromancer on the opposite end.
You know, you can't really contest it because Delvin is your way to get in. Aztec is on the right of the team. They're not really, they had any intention of rotating over. They call that because Delvin is your He's been starting fights with these Dharmic Pillars, with the grab on the Ganesha. It's awkward to walk in when you don't have that frontliner with you. And they do. Disco Fairy can just hit him with a whirlwind and rage. So they took Delvin down, by the way. Not a single ultimate burned. They did not need it. They had enough CC, they had enough damage to just take him out, but without using any ultimate. That Whirlwind of Rage and Steel was a massive threat that could have been abused. And it looks like Delvin is picking up the beads because of that possible combo with the Gravity Surge from the Wheelix. So it's scary if you're a support out in this world.
Absolutely. Something I kind of want to touch on, because I feel like we haven't given a whole lot of focus to this mid lane, is this Tiamat, okay? Right now for Saz, we were talking a little bit about how Tiamat is really good right now. Picked it up in the first phase. It was banned back in game number 1, and we talked about the tablet build coming into play. Well, I'm looking at this. I'm not saying tablet. Yeah, that's exactly what I was about to say.
I don't know why. I guess it's just he has preference to this sort of build. Realistically, you don't have to build tablet.
Right.
But he just decided not to this game. I don't see a reason why the tablet build would be bad here. But Seahouse is also a better mid laner. So he would, I trust his choices. That Obshard item, by the way, he's been talking about ever since he got buffed. Clay City, work away and into the... He's very eager. Very eager with using his resources to kind of get away here. I don't think that was necessary either. I mean, that was a bit of a, you know, awkward, but he wanted a bit of six here now.
Looking under Kernoin, and I feel like the Tsukiyomi is seeing better days. Gonna accept back to the gray screen, enjoy your time in the fountain, buy some items, and watch your team as they try to clean up the rest of this fight. But take a look at that damage onto the Tiamat. Arkadivi just pumping out some numbers, and that is exactly what you want to see from a burst. Scylla coming in 17 minutes. And man, I just feel like Royal Jesters kind of in this scenario where, you know, we look back at game number 1 and we were really close, 100 gold apart throughout the majority of the scenario. Paiu just got his dash off and ends up finding the Wheelix Snixjay, who is gonna walk away from that one, gets the ultimate forced out, and it's just our Eternal Vanguard's playing their cards right here in game 2.
Looks like the cards may have to be in the favor of Jesters now. You know, Jesters clowns, they like cards. You know, they play with cards. They do tricks with cards, but the Vanguard is still fighting over this. Nike jumps in, pull from a Wheelix, and the fight starts again.
Aztec shredded on down and dashes out. 1 HP in a dream is the Amaterasu being in favor of Eternal Vanguard. That's going to further extend their gold lead, get some good damage onto these towers, and it seems like they want a little bit more. See if they can lock down somebody as they find Kernoin over on the side, floating around Gold Pit. Nike jumping on over the top. Expert gets some damage off, but Kernoin's happy to walk away with this one.
Criminal, by the way. That was a crime. I should call the police after witnessing that. That is wild that Aztec lived there. Right now, this Amaterasu, I talked about this in Picks and Bans, the lack of tankiness from this Amaterasu. That goes through Nike Wall.
Yes.
You learn something new every day. That Nike Wall isn't like a traditional, you know, barrier. It's not like a player, well, technically it is, but it's not, you know, it's not like a Ymir wall. I'm sorry, I just got my whole train of thought was ruined by that. But there isn't like Amaterasu isn't, you know, a traditional tanky warrior. We talked about it with Wukong last game. We're talking about it with Ama now, and she has, you know, she's got tank items. She's got berserker shields. She's got shoguns, but shoguns is like a half tank. She's got like 1.5 tank. Shoguns is magical defense, but it's really 45.
Here we go!
You know, it's really not that much. Especially into somebody like Scylla, who will just nuke you. That's not that much. So, in going into this kin size afterwards, the Frostbite Hammer, it gives you health. It doesn't give you any other defensive stat other than that, right? It gives you, I guess, a kind of defensive stat in slowing down the attack speed, you're hitting the movement speed. Amaterasu was a damage healer. That's her threat. She does damage. She's got the mitigations in her too, but she's a damage healer. And it looks like Eternal Vanguard dealing damage to the Gold Fury. Snyx needs help though.
Dark Pillars do get dropped. Arcanimi drops the Admiral Monster right on over the top. Snyx needs way more help than he's getting. Snyx going on down. Aztec ends up getting the lockdown onto Arcanimi. A double kill for the Amaterasu. You know what? You lose the objective, but take a look at that. You get 2 picks. Now you're rotating across the map. I think they're in a very prime position to honestly look for something kind of big. And I'm talking Fire Giant.
They definitely could. Dharmic Pillars is not up right now. We're seeing forward to Pyromancer. Granted, they nerfed the Dharmic Pillars' ability to, you know, do all that shredding, but it's still effective shred. Newt going up with that ultimate, though, putting some damage down, knocking one up, forcing the beads away from Sea-Host. Nike's in, though, and Nike wants to get involved.
Wants to get involved and then wants nothing to do with it.
No, she's gone.
Yeah, get out of there, get out of Dodge, and well, it's 2 ultimates down for Eternal Vanguard, and now Dharmic Pillars go on down. Royal Jesters ready to secure and lock down, and this Pyromancer, they do just that. Getting themselves an objective back, and take a look at the goal difference now. It's back to dead even.
Aztec. Aztec wanted to, you know, do some damage, and then got a wheel explode, and now is dead, because he messed around and he found out. All right, at least, you know, this is a game where if you make a stupid decision, you get punished for it. Right there, that's what happened. Right, Tsukiyomi also getting punished for it now because he tried to help Aztec make a dumb decision. And now Vayu is getting chased down as well. Vayu didn't even, you know, take part in that. But Vayu falls, losing his Aegis and his beads. Both relics are down, and Vanguard heading towards Fire Giant.
Vayu's just like, wait, no.
Wait.
Didn't ask for this at all, and just gets deleted out of here. 3 members down, and now I guess, you know what? Eternal Vanguard happy to take the Fire Giant in this scenario. Royal Justice with only 2 members, Mini Delvin and Sahas. I don't think you're going to be wanting to step up with these. Fire Giant already down to a quarter. It looks like Eternal Vanguard in a very... I was just talking about a dead even game, okay? It was quite literally a 0 gold game. Now take a look at this one, back up to 3K. Fire Giant around 5 members, Eternal Vanguard. They are in a very nice position to knock down some towers and put themselves up to, I don't know, you know, 10K plus at this point. Back, get some good item spikes and return back for the next Fire Giants. They're happy right now.
They're very happy. You know, I'm pretty sure they're happy that Aztec kind of walked up and just accepted death. I think Aztec in comms there said it was something along the lines of "I trolled," but with a French accent. You know, it is a that bit is very funny.
It's not going away.
It is not going anywhere. It is not going anywhere. But he walked up and was trying to get some damage in, and it was just overzealous. Realistically, you thought you were tankier than you were. You thought you could do more damage than you did, and you got punished for it. And it was a good response by Vanguard. Now Vanguard has the Fire Giant. They have a lead here to play with. Looks like Amaterasu might be a target again. It's Scylla's dashing in, chasing the Ama, by the way.
Yeah.
Now Amaterasu's ulting in to respond. The teams are kind of floating around, though, so I like Eevee walking away.
It felt like a scenario where, you know, Aztec wasn't sure of what support he had around him. And then... It's not going to stop, is it? Speeds and Aegis get flown on the new to just gets absolutely erased. Good night, Clay City. Snyx comes on in to help appeal for his ADC, who was getting aggressive on the Amaterasu. And now the rest of the team of Eternal Vanguard are here. No ultimate for Arcanimi, but that doesn't matter as Arcanimi just blows up Vayu. And now Aztec finishing off Snyx, who's trapped inside his own Dharmic Pillars with the Disco Fairy, but Arcanimi just deletes him. Great damage coming out of this Scylla right now. I think Arcanimi is just putting on a great performance here in game number 2.
I guess it's just a comfort pick of his because it seems like it's been his go-to for third pick, and maybe I'm not an Archon EV knower, so it is just. And he's been going nuclear though. He's just absolutely popping this game. He did well last game as well. It's not like my man's is just exploding. It's what Scylla does, but this guy is doing it well, and he's. You know, I haven't seen him he doesn't do bad damage. You know, he's always putting in numbers. And those are big numbers. They're not small numbers either. Like, turning around, they're punishing people for making mistakes. They are, it's always followed. Whenever there's CC, I've always seen at least a Crush, a Sikkim, or an I'm a Monster there to follow up on that CC.
Exactly, and when you're playing this pick-based team comp, you know, I'm looking at Xingqian, Awilix, Scylla, you have to, I feel like, be on that same page, especially at this level. In Athens, you're like, okay, you have players who are capable of doing that, and it's just executing your team comp at the end of the day, if I were to really put it bluntly. So shout out to them really playing that down, because I feel like there's a lot of times where even in pre-formed team tournaments where teams don't do that even at this level. This is a draft league and these players are pulling it off. They're synergizing with their draft and they're really executing down what they're supposed to. And so I love to see that. I love to see that here, and I love to see that from Eternal Vanguard here in game number 2 scenario where they're down a game.
You know, this is a draft league, but this is also the highest division of that draft league. It's Masters Plus. Pretty much everybody in here is Masters Plus. Granted, Kernoin is a Spartacle, and Archon EV, I believe, as well, but an engage from Aztec here.
Nut goes up, Nut goes down, Mini Delvin gets pulled on in. I know you, I was gonna say I know you wanted a target, but I don't think it was a support, and I digress as Mini Delvin just gets reduced to ash. Clay City gets knocked down in return. Fairy's pretty low, Snicks is low, Steos jumps on in and gets Disco Fairy on out of here, finishing off the Xingqian. Snicks finds Kernoin, and 3 members are down for Eternal Vanguard. A good return push from the Jesters, and I think that's exactly what they needed to try to mitigate the, I want to say, the pressure coming in from Eternal Vanguard.
They know EV's there. They know he's there. But are they going to respond properly? The good damage coming out onto Kernoin, and now Expert is back, but Expert also just took a quarter of his health because Tiamat looked at him. That is a, you know, Eevee was sitting on that corner, and I think that's the first ability he's missed, by the way. This game. I'm taking, that's a joke, but that's still, you know, a testament to how effective the Scylla has been. The Scylla has been putting in work, and right there, they have been watching, they are looking for this person at every point in the fight. After a certain point early on, Kernoin was left alone with SnixJ, who was already put down to half because of the damage from, I believe it was Tiamat, and from Aztec at the start of that fight. It was, you know, not a favorable situation for SnixJ. And like I said in game 1, he's a player that likes to start fights on his terms. Felix likes to start fights on favorable terms for her terms, right? And that's not her terms. And so Kernoin was able to get the better of her in that situation. And that is a, you know, this matchup is not ideal for Awilix either. Clay City, this is a matchup that is, you know, not ideal for him. Forcing the ultimate.
Trades of ultimates with Aztec, hitting the Amaterasu down to half, wanting to chase down. Does seem like Snicks is going to rotate on in for that one. Aztec's playing this kind of look at me playstyle right now. Take a look at what happened a little bit earlier in this game when the tier 2 tower was available over in the solo lane. We saw Aztec pushing that down. What came in immediately after? Tiamat minions. Take a look over at dual lane right now. Aztec walks down that way, pushing down that lane. Come here, look at me, see what I'm doing. Tiamat minions coming behind to help with that support push to try to, you know, create some pressure in that lane. It's a very interesting style right now that the Jesters are playing, but I see it. I got your number. I know what's going on here.
You know, Awilix probably wants to walk over there. It's either Awilix or Nike that has to go over there to respond to that, right? The damage that can be done with those Tiamat minions hitting those towers with those waves pushed in is they can lose the T2 there, right? But one of them needs to move quickly. Aztec, though, needs to move quickly to get out of here. Pull comes through.
Yeah, you're not getting out of that one. Snicks going to remove the Amaterasu. Aztec is gone. And Kernoin has just eaten a massive chunk to Archon Eevee. Expert jumping on in, though, wanting to keep up the pressure of this fight for Eternal Vanguard. But Royal Jesters are collected. They are grouped up here, and I feel like they're not ready to give any more.
Seahawks walking forward here. He wants to go in.
He wants it,
look at this guy. He's walking up. He's like, I think I can get kills here. I think I can get kills here, right? That's exactly what he's saying right now. But it looks like Disco Fairy wants some kills here. Forcing the beads away, but Tsukiyomi's in on the back.
Vinny Delvin goes on down place and he gets to the lead. Kernoin, though, looking around, trying to find a pick. Unfortunately, that is a tank, my friend, and the carries were there ready to receive you.
Ooh.
He tried to stop
Bro,
the back of Disco Fairy.
I skipped a beat there real quick. That was a scary situation of your Disco Fairy. Disco Fairy said not even close. Not even. Oh no, Seahouse losing both relics. But the joke is incredible from him. But Arcadini is in there, the knockup is there, the damage is there, Tiamat absolutely cooks him.
Just get in and delete Vayu, though, going on down as it finds Clay City. The Amaterasu here trying to peel for his mid lane. Tiamat, who's very, very low stakes, looking to return on in. Pops up onto Suku and is trying to chase down the Tiamat, but realizes, okay, now in the situation against the Amaterasu, we can probably back off, look towards some objectives.
Seahouse is walking over there specifically to either push the wave and right with portal of minions, or just because he was trying to buy enough space. It looks like he didn't put minions down. I thought he was doing something real intelligent there, but then that's that's assuming Seahouse was thinking. That's unfortunate.
Massive 5 grade. Oh no, never mind. It's 2 grade.
it's a 3 head.
Okay.
That is that. I say that, and I love Seahouse, man. It is a, Seahouse right there in that situation. By the way, the fact that he absolutely cooked Archon Eevee in that situation is wild. Speed Aegis and then walks backwards, full turnaround, commits to walking in, and who the hell walks into the Scylla there, right? That he knew that he wasn't going to get hit by that because he walks in. Why would Scylla aim as if he was going to walk towards her? Why would you walk towards the Scylla? That's just... It's Galaxy Brain, and then it's 3-head. Like, it's just a back and forth with this guy. It is wild.
What I'm about to do is a pro gamer move, and then you're like, oh wait, hold on. Let me take a couple, 3 steps forward, 1 step back kind of scenario.
I'm gonna do a pro gamer move, and then, can we pick Opwash? We banned it. Oh.
That's probably
that's
the
a
comms,
summary
yeah.
with Seahouse. That is a summary of Seahouse, right? Seahouse is actually, the start of the game did not go too well for him. Getting that death at the start was not too great, but it looks like it's going well for him now. Amaterasu doing what I feel like Smite players haven't been doing for 10 years, and using map pressure that she has. Finally, somebody's doing it when the game is dead. But the Amaterasu is now pressuring this Phoenix, and the pressure she can put on this Amaterasu needs to be responded to. It looks like 6J will be doing it. This bomb is dropped, and this Phoenix is getting shredded. It is way too late for 6J. 6J can try, but is going to fail. You can try all you might. There's only so much you can do. And now the engagement with the Jesters. And that's it first?
Yeah, right. Royal Jesters are going in, getting aggressive. Clay City uses the beats and the Aegis, but that I'm a monster onto Kernoin, using beats and Aegis as well, trying his best to get out of the way, but Disco Fairy gets the finish off. It's a 1-for-1 trade here in what was a 4v4 fight right there. I'm sure as soon as Royal Jesters saw that they had somebody who ended up backing to respond to the Amaterasu, they were like, well, let's go on in here. 2 for 2. Okay, well, support.
Aztec kind of listen, right? I joke around about Aztec. I also glazed him a ton earlier, and I probably shouldn't have said that on cast, but that is also a you live and you learn situation. But Aztec just completely trolled him. I don't know why he was that far. But it looks like Vayu is a little too far up, getting caught here by the expert, and Archon Eevee's here with the Yama Monster to catch up, but it looks like that, but it's just solely cosmetic, because no slam down will be needed. Vayu will fall for 60.
That was unfortunate because everybody from Royal Jesters was happy with how that fight went. They were getting ready to back and push right back on for this EFG, but Vayu, unfortunately, a little bit late on the back start, just got caught, and, well, I mean, the outcome was what we ended up seeing. Something that I do think is going to be a very big momentum changer, game changer right now is that Phoenix going down in dual lane. This needs to be kept an eye on by Eternal Vanguard. Now their attention is completely split. Royal Jesters made a very sound play right there. Let's push down this Phoenix, and like you said, it's something that should be done a long time throughout Smite's history is using map pressure. Now you're in this scenario of, okay, our focus is split between this Phoenix and EFG. They couldn't push down the EFG when they had 5 members here because it was EFG, and the Yama would TP back in a very quick fashion. Minions are about to push into Eternal Vanguard's bounce though, as the engage comes out.
pulled in once more, but the Dharma Killer here looks like Vanguard has a bit of favor, but Seahost is in, and Seahost explodes!
He's just tiptoeing around Arcanevi, trying to survive as long as he can to get another rotation of abilities up. Oh, but Arcanevi with the Gamma Monster onto Kurnoin ends up finishing off the Tsukiyomi. Disco Fairy goes on down to Vayu, who's returned. Gamma Monster connects onto Expert. Wait, that's his own teammate.
That's Vayu.
It's Vayu. Thank you.
It's alright. It happens.
It happens, yeah.
I know.
3 for 2. Royal Jesters come out on top of that one. And take a look at the Titan.
Aztec is going to chase us to the end of time, by the way. Time is end. The Titan has taken about half of its health, maybe, a little bit more, or a little bit less, excuse me, but it's taken a good chunk. Those fire waves, you can't just ignore them. But that fight looked really good for Vanguard to start. Dharma Killers did hit a pretty good spot, but it also, only hit so many. And then Seahost went in and exploded like a city, and then died, right? And then it just went back and forth in that fight, that engagement. And then it ended up being even for the Jesters. Dharma Killers, this is even. Unless we get a steal. And Eternal Vanguard get it with the Gamma Monster.
They can't keep getting away with this. They can't keep getting away with this. They can't keep getting away. I'm just going to keep saying that right now. That was 1000%. All Royal Jesters had to do was slow play this. Let the Phoenix over in dual lane get pressured by the minions, and we can soundly and surely just get this EFG around 5 members. But they wanted to jump the gun, they wanted to rush things a little bit, and come on, you're against a Scylla, and you're against Scylla, who's Arcanevi, who's been phenomenal all game. I'm sorry, but you gotta give some respect over to the guy.
Yeah, we are not respecting Arcanevi, and he's showing you why, at least on the Scylla, why he's absolutely supposed to be here, right? I was talking about Sparta call-ups, right? Arcanevi being one of them, and then Kurnoin being the other. Vayu also was a Sparta call-up, a former Sparta. He was brought in for the Going Ghost former last season, and won it. Won it the entire season.
Your team has destroyed the gold
away. A little ambitious, but Clay City used both relics to get. I feel like Clay City's way too jumpy on these relics, man. Maybe I'm just not a carry, but I'm crossing Bell down.
Maybe you're just not a Clay City fan. You're not in the Clay City fan. You wouldn't get it. You don't know Clay City like that.
I like Donkey's Yankees more. So.
Oh, okay.
That is some Nowhere's Bowl now. And the next day walked into the cow traps and was like, oh well, I gotta sit here now so I don't take all of my health.
That hurts a little bit. Let me just stand still. Tier 2 tower goes down. Engage coming in by Eternal Vanguard onto the Phoenix, but look at Disco Fairy's HP. Experts seeing some better days on that one, trying his best to step on out. And look at this, both tanks are just low. Vayu finds the Expert, connects onto him. And that is one member down for Eternal Vanguard, and they're gonna walk away with that one. We'll clean up tier 2 towers, but we'll be back.
We will be back eventually, that was taking a bit too much damage. Expert bit off a bit more than he could chew, and he's chewing on some arrows now, because that's what went through his dome. That's just, Vayu put out a bunch of damage, and then he took too much, and then a Phoenix shot finished him off right now. But this Scylla is a problem. This Awelix was the problem, and has led the game. But now the Scylla is the problem. And you saw at the start of that fight, it went very well for the Jesters, because we saw Jing Chen try to get in, and then Delvin pushed the funny ohm button, right? And then the tank couldn't play the game because he doesn't have CC immunity that he bought, that's kind of just what happened, right? Delvin used the ohm and he couldn't do anything, so he just had to stand there and stare. And it is a really good fight for the Jesters, and we don't respect the amount of ability to deny. It looks like Aztec doesn't respect the damage and respect Eternal Vanguard in the slightest, because he's gonna get slapped on the wrist at least. And by slapped on the wrist, I mean slapped on the back of the head and fall down.
He dashed in there. Okay, he dashed in aggressively. Evie though, good night, goodbye. As Vayu connects onto it, and it looks like Kernoin wants to go even further. But hey, buddy, you're on Tsukiyomi. You can't be the first one to go in those scenarios. And I love Tsukiyomi for this, where you know your team calls go go go, and you're playing Tsukiyomi. You drop the ultimate, and they're like, hold on, no, back off, and you're like, I can't back off. I pushed the go button. I'm going in no matter what.
In that situation, I say I have to go. Like, I have to go in. Like, I will. You have to like communicate. I hit somebody. I have to go in. Like, we have to go. That's just what you have to do in that situation. I don't know if Kernoin communicated that, but that is something that needs to be made clear, especially on a character like Tsukiyomi. When you do not have that choice, you can't cancel that ultimate. Once you hit that, once you tag somebody with that, you go in. Looks like we're going in here on the expert, putting some damage through.
Good damage onto the Nike. The Pyromancer does go down and into the pockets of Eternal Vanguard. And, well, I mean, we're at a 3K game here at 40 minutes. And I'm going to say at 40 minutes, 4-0. Everybody's level 20. Everybody's full build. Everybody's got relics all completely maxed out. And it just feels like there's no real team who's just got more pressure than the other. Both teams are just getting the better of each other in different scenarios, and neither of them getting a decisive enough win in order to make something of it, you know?
I gotta say this and be blunt about it. Aztec has to stop being dumb. What he's doing is he's trolling. There's no other way to put it, is that he knows better. He knows better than this. He is a better player, and he knows what he's doing, right? He is literally walking into people. He dashed into 4 people before. In like a 35-minute game. That he's not like he's not a bad solo laner by any means, but it looks like the beads are coming through, and Amaterasu is looking to engage down. Jesters are in.
Jesters pushing on in. Disco Fairy is low, getting even lower as Mini Delvin is actually the one leading the charge here on this one, and ends up receiving the pain immediately in response. Clay City knocking him on down and out of here. Snakes finds Vayu. Expert finishes off as 3 members down for the Jesters. Make it 4 as Clay City gets himself a double kill, and Noah comes down to the lone Tiamat doing his best to run away. A 4-for-0 trade right now for Eternal Vanguard. I think they are lining themselves up to end this one.
They are lining themselves up to end this one. It is not, you know, unless Archon Eevee gets caught on the corner here, which C-Host has a idea that he's there, or maybe not. No, he doesn't. Taking a little bit of poke, but that, you see, that coordination is what I wanted to see earlier. But we just kept getting caught. We kept getting picked by Eternal Vanguard when they have a pick comp. That is ideal for them, right? We get you with 1 knockup, 1 CC, and now we just explode you. We have a pick comp. Right? We are trying to pick one of you out and take you down. CEO has to make a miracle defense here. Takes down 1, but gets popped immediately.
Game number 2 is in the books. Eternal Vanguard have decided that we are going the distance, and we will go to game number 3 in our semifinals matchup. Wow. Just wow. You know, like
I can't like. There's really the analysis I have for that is just we got to refocus, man. We got to refocus because you saw how even that game was. And because we kept getting picked, because we just kept dashing in aggressively into 3 or 4 people. Like, I just... Aztec as a player is smarter and is better than that, right? And he just kind of kept trolling. I don't know. There's no other way to really put it. Like, I wish he did that in my set. I mean, like, I wouldn't be here if he did.
I'd be the one on his end, you know, playing the game. What a turnaround, though, for Eternal Vanguard. They strike back here in game number 2 and, you know, tie up the series. And I gotta say, you know, it did not feel like, honestly, throughout the majority of game 1, and then here throughout all of game 2, I want to say that there was one team that I just feel like is the decisive. Yeah, no, this team's just walking away. They're doing phenomenal. They're just, no, you know, I feel like there's individual players who are just standing out. It's Snicks J in the early game here for Eternal, and then Ark and Eevee just pulling it up and just really being an absolute threat with the damage numbers. And I will not shy away from the setup that has been coming in from the expert and Disco Fairy. They're getting on in there. And I mean, Clay City, I have a lot of questions. You gave me some good answers. You walked away with the W. But on the opposite end, you know, I can
did
say...
ADC things. I mean, it wasn't a detriment pick. he did what he needed to do, and that new ultimate had some effective hits too, and it did good damage.
Absolutely. I think, some big things are just communication, recollect, regroup, and discipline. And, well, I mean, we'll see what kind of outcome we end up getting in game 3. A very decisive game 3 that it will be. Both teams are now one step away from the grand finals. This is it. It all comes down to the one epic finale. We're going to find out how that ends up going. Who will come up top in game number 3. But before we get there, we're going to take a quick intermission. We will see you in a few minutes here on Olympus Smite League. Here we go, folks. It all comes down to this. Welcome on into game number 3 of the Olympus Smite League OSL Cup semifinals. This series has tied the Royal Jesters and Eternal Vanguard trading blows to bring us to this decisive game, this decisive moment. I'm ZekVexol, still here on the desk with NotAValveGame, and we are here to guide you through the ultimate showdown. So, Valve, after these 2 games, I mean, it has just been back and forth. What do you think?
What I think is the Jesters as a unit, when they are all on the same page, absolutely fry. Right? We saw that in game 1. We saw it in moments in game 2. And that's what I want to see in game 3, man. I just want to see them play as a full cohesive unit, and they could definitely win it out.
Definitely winning out. A lot of potential here, and we're seeing the bans coming through, and a lot of what we've been seeing throughout the previous games. Does anything stand out? I mean, like, Amaterasu's still available. Is that going to be something that Royal Jesters look at again? I mean, Aztec looked good when he looked good. He looked bad when he looked bad. And, I mean,
Nike's up.
Nike is up. There you go. And you did say that. That was Aztec's best pick, right?
Aztec, listen, Aztec's a good player. Right? He is very good on the Nike. That is his best pick by a pretty good margin, at least in my opinion, right?
Oh, Yamoja's up too.
And yeah, he's gonna pick the Nike, right? I mean, it's his bread and butter pick. When Mans wants to win, he picks Nike. That's what he does, right? And when Eevee wants to win, he picks Scylla, it seems, because that's what he's going back to immediately after.
So when Aztec wants to win, he picks Nike. When Delvin wants to win, he picks the Maui, which obviously he didn't want to win last game because he didn't pick it. I mean, come on. There she is. This is the one I've been waiting for. Yamoja is locked in here for Eternal Vanguard in the first phase. I'm excited. I love her.
I've been waiting for this to be let through because Disco Fairy absolutely loves Yamoja. I think it's in his Discord bio that if you let Yamoja through, I'm playing it. Like something along those lines. It's literally in his Discord description. And he talks about you're getting washed, right? The Awilix hover immediately afterwards into the Maui, right? The Awilix hover for this Yamoja and this Scylla, pulling people out of those rings. But there's also a sort of counterplay element to that I'm sure Disco Fairy is considering, right? You pull somebody in, and then what if I just ring them out immediately? What if I just, okay, you feather step them? What if I ring them out again?
I think the big idea that you're looking at is the Awilix into Yamoja comp, though, of she can't use that 3 if Awilix is anywhere within a 10-mile radius, because you're going to get anyone on your team just plucked right in immediately, and that's something that always in my head. I also love feather stepping anybody who does try to take those little portals to try to give themselves a nice little jump away, because it immediately just roots them in place, pulls them down to the ground, and now you're on the other side. You're like, okay, well, where are you going to go? I'm here now.
Something with this Maui, too, into the Yamoja. With that sort of put the ring down, I'll be back to that in a second. With this ring down, Maui just pulls you away from it. He's going fishing, and he's bringing in Yamoja, right? He pulls you away from it. The Heimdall, this pick has aggression, it has safety, it has high damage, but it's also kind of fits Clay City's MO in that it's weird. It's a little bit weird. Heimdall has always been a pick that shows up, at least back when Pro Scene was still here, right? It showed up as a, reliable pick for hunters when they wanted to play a bit safer, but also what are that reliable aggression, that big damage. Heimdall, I love this pick. He's probably my favorite hunter in the game, and he just kind of gets active, but also can play that passive style with those runes or with those glyphs. I don't remember the name of them. The things he teleports, but he is certainly a pick here, especially into someone like Nike who just has knockback immunity, but he also forces solo laners to go beads because you're sent out of the fight for what, 3-4 seconds if you don't.
Yeah, that is true. I mean, you got to be worried about just completely being removed from the fight as you get sent through the realms. Phase 2 bans being very much the same as what we've been seeing in previous games. And something I kind of want to ask, because it popped into my head and now I'm just like spinning this around my head so very much, is Yamoja starting her 3 and pushing waves again? Now, this is something we haven't seen in years in Smite. What do you think about that?
You mean holding them back, or
Yes, keeping your own minions back and allowing wave to clash at your tower line. Especially in this scenario where you have a Heimdall, and I feel like I'm going to see a little bit more of a pressure ADC coming out of the Royal Jesters.
I think it has its uses at certain points. This is an interesting hover here. I don't know if they're going to lock it or they're just like, doing a bit of a spicy hover, but the Yamoja doing that, it's situational at best, right? If your hunter's down, you want to hold your wave a little bit further back so we can be safe.
And I will
Shiva is the lock-in.
Over.
Into Nike, who has 2 knock-up immunities. Shiva recently did get a buff. His ultimate is still, a glorified meditation, where he's CC immune and he busts it down. Listen, unless this pick is going jungle, I do not see the merit in it. I'm going to be completely honest with you. It's got to be a comfort pick for either the expert or Styx is doing something real spicy, because Shiva he's all right, but Cullen's up, Ama's up, Wukong's up. You got better picks that are up, but Shiva is the lock-in, and I'm not liking it.
Not liking it. It's an interesting one, I have to say. It's piqued my interest. I know with the recent buffs that's come to Shiva, it's given him more damage on the front in lane, and I can definitely put that in with you about like saying, let's see the Shiva over in the jungle. Let's see what it can do. I think there's a lot of potential there.
I think in jungle, he actually can fry. Like, the amount of setup he has and the amount of damage he has is really good. Ho Yi, you're talking about a fighting lane. Ho Yi versus Heimdall brawls.
This is straight up a brawling dual lane. I'm excited for this one. Okay, I said I was interested in the Shiva, man. Yeah, I'm gonna be keeping all eyes on dual lane right now to see Vayu just going up in the air, landing down on top of Heimdall, getting immediately sent to Niflheim, forced to use the beat, and just like in back-to-back action going on over there. Yuhan getting locked in the mid game. In the mid lane, I should say. Good pressure from this pick. He's got some good early damage, but the safety on this pick, I think, is so good.
The Shiva, though, I'm stuck on it, right? Because I really hope it's it's not. Damn. I was hoping it was a Shiva jungle. Listen, as much as it could be, Susano solo, that would be a absolutely horrendous lane for Susano to play into. Nike, Susano, I should actually talk about Susano. Susano likes lanes where he can either, 1, safely farm, or 2, get kills. He could do neither of those things into Nike. And Nike, there's certain like lane opponents that, you try to get a kill in, like Serket, weird picks. Serket, Hunbats is another one. I was experimenting with it a while ago. Hunbats is a kill lane, right? Is a solo laner. You hit 5 and you try to get a kill, right? Nike doesn't die. She has a gigantic shield and she does not die, all right? And I did the matchup into Aztec, and Aztec is a very good Nike player. And no, he did not die because he played it correctly, right? So it's gonna be Shiva versus Nike, and the matchup's okay. Shiva can clear, right? But he has to space out his CC carefully, because if Aztec's going to immune at least one of them, right? And the setup for something like an Awilix is not there for him anymore. You have a Susano, who also relies on a knock-up to set up, who has knock-up to CC. Yamoja has a stun, but locking down this Nike's going to be a bit difficult. I guess the hope is we throw him out of the fight and we go from there, right? It's comfort for Vanguard, and we have to see how well the Shiva fits in.
Exactly, and I'm going to like spitball this one. Hear me out. Yamoja solo, Shiva support with the Heimdall, and just bring up the fight potential over there.
Is Expert a solo laner primary role, or is he off role? I believe he's off role.
I don't know.
I believe Expert is off rolling. I think he's a jungler. unless
Okay.
I'm crazy.
It might be
I could just be
crazy.
completely wrong on that. I could just also be completely wrong, and I'm just saying things. But I also am not entirely too sure on that. I don't think he's a solo laner though. On main role, but he's a solo laner in this game.
Absolutely. And both teams have fought their hearts out. And now it's win or go home. It all comes down to this. Who is going to rise to the occasion, secure their spot in the grand finals, and take one step closer to glory? Let us find out. It's time to jump out into game number 3 of Royal Jesters versus the Eternal Vanguard here in the OSL Cup. And right out of the gate, I mean, nothing's standing out too much. Nothing's too spicy. One thing I do see, though, is beads over on this emoji. I think it seems like Disco Fairy is recognizing the threat level of Kernoin on this Awelix.
I have received confirmation that the expert is in fact a solo laner. So that was the most unintentionally toxic thing I've ever done, I guess. That wasn't toxic because I do not know expert as a player. Right? I think we've been in the same divisions or floated around the same divisions, but have never really played against each other because we just aren't on the same side, like brackets, or in the same groups. Right?
You're just not an expert.
I'm just not a knower. I'm not an expert knower. It's just the things that happen. I don't know about certain things. I'm not a mid lane knower with the CO's build last game. I'm not a Newt knower with Clay City, and we're here. But talking about the beads on the emoji, I mean, makes perfect sense. You're into a Wheelix, right? There are certain points in like engagements, especially with this Yu Huang, with this Maui. You get plucked, you are dead if you're Disco Fairy, and he knows it.
Oh, Engage coming in immediately out of the gate as Clay City forced to use the beads, get himself on out to safety. That's kind of the aggression we were expecting to see. We talked about this being a fighting lane, and already they're really showing exactly how much of a fight is coming in. Speaking of fighting, over here in the mid lane, some good poke onto Snicks. Now that the Awelix is on the other foot, let's see how he handles this one.
Kernoin has been very, very good at... Snicks J has been, setting the pace in most of these games, but Kernoin game 1 especially was responding. Always responding. He got something to respond to, the ganks on Aztec. Always getting active. This Awelix is a bit more of a pace setter. Not something that Kernoin was doing entirely last game, but also something I think he's more than capable of doing. Like I said before, I believe he is a Sparta call-up. And that is, especially in this season when they're, it's a little bit lower on the sign-up end. But this doesn't mean the quality of players has gone down by any means. Kernoin has played up by every regard, right? Game 1, absolutely frying. Game 2, frying. Again, game 3 here, he's looking to fry this Vayu right now.
Engaged by Snicks, finds Vayu, gets pulled in the tower! And Vayu and Delvin, it was a little funny. Secure first blood here in game number 3. But all the while in mid lane, Arcadivi gets knocked on up and forced to use the bees to dash on away. Almost 2 kills going to the Jesters.
Listen, Snicks J tried to get something done. He also failed it, and then Kernoin immediately gets something done. He got the beads from Scylla there. Arcadivi loses the beads now. Now, this is quite a bit of damage, so Snicks J is going to meet a... Whoa. This is scary, though. What is going on? Aztec's here, though. Okay, he's safe.
Yeah, Aztec stepping on up, getting aggressive, trying to help facilitate this fight over in the solo side jungle, see what more that they could get. It turned out to be nothing but some poke, but take a look at Snicks J walking on down, trying to return the rest. We recognize that Kernoin was a little bit low on the mana pool side of things, and seeing if he could find out. Gets a blink onto Kernoin. Good night, goodbye. Dashes into the tier 2 tower. Hey, buddy,
this is the second time he's been in a tower this game. Eos is here, and the dragons. Hey, now your dragon is still unfortunate, but C-Host gets another kill, right, or gets a kill for himself there, picking up 6J. That's the second time in a 3-minute game he's been under a tower. The first time not by choice, second time 100% by choice. He went in.
Let's take a step here and look and just ask, was that worth? Did we get enough value off of that in order to qualify that as being a reasonable...
Hit 5 first.
Okay, we hit 5 first. You know what? I'll give him that one. All the while, dual lanes happening. Speaking of hitting 5 first, as Vayu and Delvin are getting absolutely aggressive. They find Clay City. They're looking for Disco Fairy, but is able to take the Riptidon out and get back to safety.
That was getting the kill and then clearing the buffs, got him 5 first, right? So there is a lead for SnixJ. That is clear. Mid can't fight though. SnixJ is here looking for something. Camps. It's a trade back and forth. I think 2 went the way of Eternal Vanguard. 1 went to Royal Jesters.
Oh, so far, Royal Jesters coming out real nicely. They're holding a nice 1,000 gold lead here in game number 3. Only 4 minutes in. SnixJ looking around behind the plunk out of the crush is extremely unfortunate. That might have been the deal maker, but going up, going down, he dodges the abilities, and Gurnoin finds SnixJ, finds Arcanevi, and turns it from a host going down to 2 members of Eternal Vanguard dropping.
That is so unfortunate. By the way, if I'm C-host there, I'm laughing both in comms and in the game. You know, I'm VELing at them right there. That is soul crushing. If I am on Eternal Vanguard right there. Ooh, that is rough. But you know, at least we got some CDR now for Susano, so the Typhoon will be up relatively soon. But you know, something interesting here. I want to look at the expert's build. He's itemized into this Gaia first, with all the knockups on the side of trigger it. I think expert's actually getting the better of Aztec here. Sentinel of Zeus is down, and Aztec's gonna have to reset.
Man, that is just you're feeling the pressure of this Shiva, okay? You know, he got some buffs. Yeah, when you look at knockups into Nike, sure, you can say that's a really good matchup, but the damage value that this Shiva provides, I think, is something that can't be overstated, and I definitely feel like Aztec is feeling that one right now. And, I mean, in the overall grand scheme of things, take a look at the pressure. Yeah, a little...
What are they doing?
A little cheeky group.
Are they shopping, or are they waiting for Aztec? Like, this blue buff's not gonna spawn soon.
I know my timers.
They don't. It seems... I guess they're trying to match their timers, because the blue timer for Eternal Vanguard is quite different than the Royal Jesters blue timer. So, you know, that spacing of timers was enough to make sure that that doesn't get stolen away from Aztec. But, you know, the pressure that Shiva has is interesting, because I was going to say the knockup communities might just make it a bit more difficult, but it seems like Aztec's focusing a lot less on trading, and Shiva's just, I can go the way to enter into it at the same time. Disco Fairy, those bees are only going to do so much for you.
Looked right back in. Disco Fairy doing his best to live. He's so low, but gets ultimately sent on out. Snix did find Kernoin on the back line, is rotating him behind to find Delvin. Gets pulled on in, giving some good damage. Now he lands on down. Snix is low, but is going to walk out 1 HP. Nidova needs a crush, but I'm sure, certainly sure, nothing else will come of that.
Predictable.
Yeah, that was a wild emotional reaction. It was Disco Fairy I thought was guaranteed dead, right? Which he did right? Then Kernoin was literally 1 HP. SnixJ was able to clean that up. And that was just like a back and forth. The River's Rebuke, by the way, was very well placed to lock down and set up for Archon Eevee to just get so much damage off onto Kernoin, guaranteeing the kill for SnixJ. So, you know, very well done. Disco Fairy showing why he's, you know, the emoji guy. Why he's talking about it is literally in his Discord bio. This is a, you know, it's kind of showing you the masterclass. We're talking about comfort picks. Delvin on the Maui, Aztec on the Nike, Disco Fairy and Archon Eevee both on their respective picks. It is clear. Comfort is key here. An expert on the Shiva might also be comfort is key, because he's getting the better of Aztec pretty heavily in this game.
Man, so far, a little bit of fight going on in the mid lane. Arcanevi goes over to the Ember Monster. Disco Fairy, good night, goodbye. Are they gonna get any more? No, they are not. I'm seeing Arcanevi just keep getting aggressive, dashing in on this Scylla. And I think it's going so far, but, you know, in a scenario like this where you have this 3-man grouping of the Royal Jesters and it's, I don't know, Maui Wheelix and Yu Huang, you're gonna be unfortunately forced into difficult scenarios. You're gonna be forced to use things that you really didn't intend to, or I would hope to, I should say.
That was just, you know, Disco Fairy getting shot, right? That was a situation that was a little bit unavoidable. It could have been avoided if you played a bit more safely, but you just kind of fell over. and Archon Eevee could do nothing but burn his ultimate and walk away a little bit quicker than he normally would have. His movement speed. Actually, I don't even know if he gets increased movement speed yet. Does he only get that at max level? No, I think it's 30% and then it's like 60%. But, you know, maybe I'm not a solo knower either. I'm not the expert on that.
All of us not being expert. I mean, there's only one expert in the game, and he's playing Shiva, and I think he's doing a pretty good job, and it is Nike. That is Aztec's best pick, so... Great things going on across the map, and Snake's lurking around behind.
They are fully aware of this. They are fully aware, and 6J teleport away, but the leap in from Vayu. The bounce there.
Caught him, drops the ultimate, and gets pulled right into tower, and Snicks is low, but certainly going to be just fine. Get back in the back end of the tower, getting the better half of that 2 versus 1 scenario.
Ambition causes the mighty to fall, and Vayu, in this case, will fall down. That was ambitious from Snicks, and then it was ambitious from Vayu to think that he could just, you know, walk up and not get pulled in by the wind siphon. Right? And, that is a crazy, you know, in the leap into the sun.
Still.
And then 6J was just like, I bet, and then pulled him into the tower and just took him down. What is Ovilix doing? Kernoin is just kind of sitting on the corner. He's walking around. He's waiting for this Heimdall. He's waiting for Clay City here. Clay City just reset right in front of his face.
Unlucky. I think that's what we call that. Just truly unfortunate.
Yeah. We call that unlucky for sure.
Absolutely.
I want to go back to the Shiva, right? This is a matchup that is, you know, one that I have, you know, some experience, right? It's something that I usually just don't pick in tonight, right? Because it is, I'm not going to knock her up, like, ever. Because she has 2 knock-up immunities. But you're looking for immunity right now if you're Snicks.
Jay getting absolutely removed by the combo of Mini Delvin and Kernoin. And it looks like Delvin is going to secure that one, but all the while, Bull Demon going on down. Eternal Vanguard picked that one up. River Duke in the mid lane. Trying to stop the aggression. Landfall goes down off the mark. On the Disco Fairy. Arcanidi rotates back on in, gets pulled on in, forced into the I'm a Monster. Lands it down on top of Mini Delvin. A little bit of extra damage onto the Maui. And everyone's happy to just walk away with how that one finished. I want to say, but Kernoin lurking around the backside and thinking about setting up for an engage here.
Yeah, they're
That's
kind
far
of,
enough.
They're posturing very aggressively, and Kernoin is not looking behind him, right? But it doesn't need to. Archon Eevee burning the feed, even though that gravity surge is not up. 6J not able to catch that you know, wind cycle beforehand. But Shiva's here and he's busting it down.
Shiva dropping the ultimate. Honestly, I think that's a win for Kernoin. A little bit less of a win once he had to use the blink, but...
Going under?
They are going under. Snicks J goes, wins on in, drops the Typhoon and finds one. Sahas goes down, and Snicks J ends up getting received. A little bit of a refrag going on there. Aztec jumping on in, finishes off Expert. And hopefully, honestly, if I'm Eternal Vanguard, I want to walk away with that one and go and clean up the beacon.
That is a difficult situation because that goes so well for you at the start. If you're Eternal
Those
Vanguard, yeah, they do. Rough, but that's a consolation prize. But they also lost 2 there, right? You get a pick on 1, and then you lose 2, right? That is not fun if you're in that situation. Losing the Expert and Snicks J there, when the Expert was the one who kind of, you know, initiated that. They went in, and I was a bit confused at first. You could hear it in the tone of my voice, and I was like, they're going in, you know? But Snicks J was in there, and he was looking to get active. And they did. I mean, they were effective in it, too. But, you know, risk and reward, and they took risk there, and they got risk.
They got the reward, too. I mean, they stripped away the whole right jungle, with speed buff included, and got beacon off of it as well. I mean, granted, they're still, like, 2k behind, but I feel like, in terms of just that moment, Eternal Vanguard had a net positive. I think. Pretty soundly. Looking over here in the solo lane, though, as Aztec jumping on in, trying to find some aggression over on the blue buff that isn't up. Does he get the Susano who's low? He does. Aztec finds Snicks J and sends him on out of here.
That is... That's a Felix moment right there. Archon Eevee gets caught on the dive under. The Felix ultimate comes through, and it looks like the Royal Jesters are here to make sure their boys get out.
That is a tee funny. Yes, that is a leap, by the way. I'm gonna pull you, and I'm just gonna.
Listen, just because you go below the ground, you're still traveling from the ground to somewhere else.
Exactly.
You're technically above the ground, but you're just under above. You know?
Under, above. I don't think that's how directions
That's like
work.
that's like you know how jumbo shrimp? That's an oxymoron.
Okay.
Like,
Brings in the jumbo shrimp. Shrimp's a name, though.
Jumbo shrimp. Well, shrimp also means small. Jumbo shrimp is not. That's what it is. That's what under above. You know, underground above. You know, that's what it is. That's why it's a lead.
He jumped underground.
Have you ever played Baldur's Gate? You know, Baldur's Gate. You can jump underground. Excellent game. Anyway, let's talk about the builds now. Aztec is itemized into the solo lane builds are interesting, right? Aztec is itemized into Contagion, an amazing item into Shiva because all of his damage, like his consistent damage is 1-2, relies on CC, right? So you're constantly rocking. Why he's taking damage so from a bit of CC, but
what damage?
Not much response.
What damage? Hold on. What damage?
Shield moment. Shield buff moment. But then you see this Stone of Guy. The old box on the team of Royal Jesters.
Everyone.
Yeah, Nike
like
2,
literally everyone.
Nike 3, a Wheelix 3.
I have you now.
It'd be Yu Huang Ultimate, Maui Ultimate, and Hou-Yi 2-3 combo. Right? Everybody approximately. So that's a really good pickup. The spikes on Shiva is what one of the few characters that use it still. Oh no, Archon Eevee.
Yeah, that's very true. That's a Wheelix into still a matchup exactly going as intended. Aegis forced on Clay City. Delivers the Vic does get dropped. The Stone's raining in over top. Six ends up finding Kurnoin over in the mid lane in response, but Vayu ends up deleting the Heimdall. While he gets sent to Niflheim. Rotate in from the jungler of Eternal Vanguard, but where did he go as he gets sent on out of here? The expert chasing on down into the back line of Royal Jesters, but they have come out on top of this fight soundly. Only the two tanks remaining, the expert and Disco Fairy, both of them 1 HP. Disco Fairy is low and should get finished off by Aztec in just a moment, maybe. Maybe if Archon EV doesn't show up. No, it's a tier 2 tower. You know what? That's fine. Go and get your
He's learned from his
prize.
mistakes of last game.
Progress.
Right? He did a bit of trolling last game, and now he's like, all right, I want to win now. Right? That's why he locked in the Nike for one. That's also why he was also allowed to lock in the Nike.
Yeah, there we go.
So I'll correct my statement on that. He wasn't allowed in game 1 or game 2, so now he's picking it in game 3. But it is a. He's learned from his mistakes, right? He's not going to randomly dash into 4 people, I hope, unless the rest of his team's there. So it's unfortunate because the expert had a lead, he had better lane control at the start of the game. He was out trading Aztec, but he lost that lead very quick. Like once we hit around, I'd say, 13, 14 level. He lost the lead, right? Now Aztec has a 2.5, 3 level lead over the expert, which is disgusting. Look at what he's doing right now. He can just get away with this because of how far ahead he is.
That damage onto Disco Fairy. The Yu Huang is really pulling out some good numbers. Beacon getting pulled by the Royal Jesters, and that 2,000 gold lead I was talking about has now extended itself up to 4.5, almost 5,000 gold. This is starting to get into the realm of a happy feeling for Royal Jesters. I mean, I'm sure they're feeling pretty good. Okay, knocked down to 4,000 after something happened, but they're feeling pretty good right now. You know, a slow and steady burn is exactly what we saw in game number 1.
Yeah, it was a slow and steady burn, but we are, you know, a bit faster this time. 15 to 5 right now. Aztec, look at how little he cares about the sheep. Right? No, I think he should be caring a little bit more. It's like quite a bit of damage. Delvin's now here to, you know, get a bit of damage back. Get a bit of safety for Aztec. She just does a ton of damage. Archon Eevee. Oh no.
You can't dash. Use the beads on the knockup. You're not able to dash anymore. You're just in this difficult spot. Kurnoin has Archon Eevee's number in this game, and I think that adjustment between game 2 and now is phenomenal and exactly what the Royal Jesters needed to do. Archon Eevee, as the game got later, looked better and better and better and was just being a deciding factor in the team fights. Remove him. Don't let him get to that point, and surely you're going to be putting yourselves in a very substantial position going into the mid to late game.
It is a rough game for Eternal Vanguard now because they have their main like driving force last game was the ability for Archon Eevee to kind of just go nuclear. Right? And not to say that the rest of the players aren't capable, because they certainly are. 6J in the early game went absolutely popping, right? But it is Archon Eevee now being shut down like this, getting focused out by Kernoin. Kernoin shows up, gravity surges up, sweetie. You know, like that's what's going on right now. It's every single time it's up, he's going for Archon Eevee, and those beads are down again. Meaning that if that dash comes through, he's getting pulled. Guaranteed. That means Disco Fairy either has to immediately be there with the rings, or there needs to be like an absolution bot, which Shiva can't use, right? And Yamoja would hate to use.
The thing is, when I really look at this in the grand scheme of things, there's only so many times that you actually have to use this engage on Archon Eevee. You know, once you do it enough, you just get into his head that it's going to happen. And then you just go, okay, let's walk over, let's take Pyromancer, let's go and take Gold Fury. You guys gotta worry, he doesn't have beads, he doesn't have Aegis. He's like, I can't step up here, Wheelix is gonna blink on me, Wheelix is gonna ult me. Even if that's not going to be the case, even if that's not the plan for the Royal Jesters or Kernoin, you know, I don't have to do it at a certain point because you think I'm going to do it. And to me, that speaks volumes.
It really does, because it is that mental game. I am, you know, I'm somebody familiar with the mental game. Right, a resident spam laugher, right? It's a lot of people don't know how to press the mute key. And if you just make annoying noises at people, they get annoyed. You know, just walk up to somebody in public and just make random noises. Don't do that. No,
you get in trouble for that.
You would definitely get in trouble and possibly arrested.
Something disturbing the peace, something.
Yeah. Something jail. But the thing is, right? Getting in their head like that. Especially for somebody like Archon Eevee, who has been left alone largely for this set, and who's kind of been ignored. This Typhoon coming over the wall, but it's a bit little too late.
A little too late as the Royal Jesters lock down the Gold Fury, further extending their gold lead now to an official 5,000 gold. 16-5 at the 21-minute mark. Kills going for Royal Jesters, gold going for Royal Jesters, objectives going for Royal Jesters, and right now it just feels like pressure and momentum is in their favor. Only with a 5,000 gold lead and a basic fighter giant, all 5 members, I should say, of Royal Jesters are here. Eternal Vanguard missing the Susano, unsure if exactly where he is, but he does get pinged on out. They're looking for the fight. They want to pull this one slowly, and the pull-in from the landfall onto Disco Fairy. Not gonna amount to much. The sun's come rattling down. Kernoin goes down by Snix J, able to rotate on in from behind. Unfortunately, the engage just took way too long from the Royal Jesters here.
It did take a bit too long for the Jesters, but it looks like the answer back will be sending as to Nibelheim, and then he jumps away. I see House, though, might just get a I'm a monster for his trouble. The shell and the Aegis comes through. Experts busting it down. It looks like this fight isn't going anywhere.
Fight's taking its time. A chase down onto Aztec. Archon Eevee dashes on in, roots them in place, and Clay City finishes them on off. 2 members down, but Zehos rotates on in and finds the expert blink in from the Susano. Next onto Vayu. Goes and sends out the Typhoon. Is low himself. Aegis great on Vayu to immune the damage of the Typhoon. But this is going to be a Royal Jesters reset. Eternal Vanguard's going to be able to strip away their jungle happily.
You know, this is wild right now. I'm gonna be honest, right? The favorites going into this, at least in my opinion, probably were the Jesters, right? The Jesters came from a harder side of the bracket. Oh, Kernoin.
A lot just happened.
A lot of nothing just happened.
Right there.
But anyway, the Jesters came from a harder side. We're continuing the nothing. Vayu jumped in, and Archon Eevee forced to beat.
Archon Eevee forced to beads, dashes on out, landfall pulls, but Disco Fairy drops the beads to immune it. Royal Jesters going to secure the beacon steadily this time around as Aztec rotates in, help zone for his team.
Anyway, back to my point.
Yeah, go ahead.
They came from the harder side of the bracket. And, you know, there's some more, at least for OSL, a bit more. Snix J, if you've played in a draft league before, you've seen Snix J, right? Oh my goodness. This 1v1 is so intense we're gone silent, but Kernoin and 6J both were very close to death there, but Kernoin gets the better of 6J. That was one of those, like, we both got our mouths open agape.
Yeah.
Gotta be careful not to let the flies in, because we were just like, ooh, like that was, oh, ooh.
No words, only who. Because as soon as 6J teleports on in there, you know, immediately just eats the knockup on accident, I want to say, by Kernoin, who's just trying to clear the buff. Goes for the chase down, gets caught on the back end of the knockup of Typhoon, and it was, oh man, so close right there on both ends of that. Fire Giant getting pulled by the Royal Jesters now. And now they're going to go for the chase down as Clay City goes and gets removed by Aztec and the crew. Going even further, though, 2 members off the board by Eternal Vanguard. If they take any longer, though, 6J is going to return. Good poke damage, and forcing Scylla into I'm a Monster is going to help prove it. But Aztec is between the towers here on the back.
That is a Nike moment right there. Any other character in Aztec's probably dead. But because he has a gigantic health shield and they don't have, you know, like a horrific or a Sunder to remove it, he could just get away with that. You know, there's no, well, there is an erosion actually, but not for the Nike. You know, it's on the other team. It's for the Emoja. So there's really no removal for these shields, and Aztec can get away with that because there's just there's no Sunder, there's no horrific, there's no anti-shield executioner, there's no erosion, and I would hate to see expert build erosion in his build. He'd not be tanky at all.
No, but erosion's just such a quality. I mean, like, maybe Disco Fairy can
I just think in expert's build it would be so ineffective because of how little protection it has.
I very much agree it wouldn't slot well there. Fire Giant getting pulled by the Royal Justice yet again. They're doing this back and forth that we saw back in game number 1, where we're going to pull in, we're going to look for the fight, we're going to pull in, we're going to look for the fight. They are coming to this one pretty steadily, and they get down to the 3rd HP. The River's Rebuke does end up going down. A slight disengage comes through by the Royal Jesters. Are still picking it up. Nike gets sent up into the realms. It's going to come on down. Lands on down. And it looks like I'm a monster is off the make. Landfall pulls in. Evie forced to use the egg as the sun's rain down over the top. And Disco Fairy's the first one to be removed from the board. Dashing away, running away. Eternal Vanguard on the back foot. Still getting chased out by the Royal Jesters. Aegis onto Clay City. Onto the Heimdall, who just uses teleport. Not going to have any way of getting on out. Aztec eats some great damage. And Kernoin finishes it off. A 2-for-1 trade right now. 2-for-none trade, I should say, from the Royal Jesters. Feeling confident after that one.
Wild fight there. That was absolutely wild. It looks like they're not done being wild because 6J blinks in. Aztec will take him down, but not before he takes Seahost with him. Expert takes down Bayou. It looks like Expert still wants more.
Expert wants to keep up the pressure, and I mean, what was a 3-for-none, well, 2-for-none trade turned into a 3-for-2 trade? Royal Jesters needed to probably just back out, go, leave, run away, get as far away as you can, then go for the reset off that, come on back and be in a commanding position. 5 people strong, you know? And now you're just in this difficult scenario. Okay, well, we were going to do things, and now we can't. I mean, we're going to keep holding steady at this 5,000 gold lead that we mentioned, what, 10 minutes ago?
Yeah. It's, I mean, it's not... We are kind of just holding on to the same state of the game in a way. Not like the time span, but we are letting Eternal Vanguard or the Jesters make a choice, and then we're fighting them. Right, that last fight. Now we have Vanguard for the Fire Giant. It looks like Delvin's walking in. Level 18 Maui, a bit ahead of Disco Fairy, but we are still shredding the Fire Giant. And Royal Jesters are taking quite a bit of time to get there.
Taking time, but Mini Delvin has forced them off it long enough in order to get the Royal Jesters team up here. Now recognizing that this is a 5v5 scenario once again, they're not going to be able to pull this one for free. Back to the poke game, back to the brawling game. We'll see who gets the advantage here as well. I mean, just about everybody's up there at level 20 aside from supports. Everybody's getting up there to finish off those 6 items. They're feeling pretty good about this one. Starters all upgraded. And it's going to come down to who's going to walk away with this one. Who's going to get the better end at the start of the fight?
I hate that Delvin tanked that Pyromancy debuff. You know what that does? Oh, well, Aztec doing quite a bit of here. Taking quite a bit of damage, but it's getting absorbed by this shield.
Doesn't matter at all. Arcady, the rips on in over the top onto Kernoin with the Emma Monster. The Suns are blaring. Aztec is still running into the back line. Full speed ahead. Just doing what Nikes do best. And that's, I'm going to eat all of your abilities. I'm going to eat all of your damage. And I'm going to take none in return. It's really, it doesn't matter. Look at the HP still. Full HP, I'm going to say. 75%. Happily is this sitting is this Nike.
This guy, he's just, if he gets CC, he gets mitigations. But we're going to have to mitigate some damage here. Kernoin fell down.
Kernoin is down. The Eternal Vanguard are stepping up. They are, you know, they got a good reset off and they're looking confident to walk back into this one. And Royal Jesters did not reset after that fight. They ended up just going back and trying to pull the Fire Giants immediately after. And I don't think that fight was one strong enough in order to make it happen. Vayu goes on down. Clay City ends up following both hunters off the board. Aztec in the middle of 3, gonna get some good damage off, going to target out Arcanivy. Snyx ends up dropping the Typhoon onto the mage of the Royal Jesters and running away almost instantaneously. This fight is so spread out across so many members, but Zehast ends up finishing off the Shiva. Another one off the board for Eternal Vanguard.
This is just back and forth. Aztec is kind of just running in there and not dying because they don't have any anti-shielding. That's kind of just what's happening, and we need some more anti-shielding. I mean, they do have anti-shielding in Yamoja 2, but you're hitting Aztec with Yamoja 2, right? Instead of using your other more useful abilities. That is a difficult ask, right? You can do quite a bit of shielding damage, though. I just hope Disco Fairy will, you know, connect one of those 2s into Aztec when that ultimate comes through. Aztec also might just be playing the fight. I haven't been paying attention to Disco Fairy's position when Aztec goes in, because Disco Fairy just might not be in the same, you know, zip code. It's kind of just, Aztec has been in their speed buff while they're trying to posture around Fire Giant. So that Sentinel of Zeus comes out, and then by the time Disco Fairy walks over there, it's already gone. You know, but we got to burn through that shielding so we can finally lock down and take down this Nike. We have CC, we have lockdown, and we need to just be better with the timing. Archon Eevee had a bit of a slip up, you know, there's cracks in the armor of the Archon Eevee Scylla we saw before. He missed the one off of that, you know, the Heimdall ultimate. So there's a bit of fixing the attitude. But Archon Eevee has shown the consistency with this Scylla. We can take down this Nike and we can move forward from there. He's died once before, we could do it again.
Right, and I'm looking though throughout Eternal Vanguard's items, I'm looking at everything, and I'm like, what really answers shields? I mean, Yamoja 2, that's really all they really have to actually respond to this. You look at the rest of it though, it's like, where are the Sunders? Where are the Horrifics? Where's the Erosion? You know, yeah, where's the green? Like, why are we missing out on so many things to help deal with this character that I feel like would make their job so much easier? And they're definitely feeling the burn. I'm gonna be honest, whenever I see a Nike, the first thing in my head is like, okay, cool, I want a Sunder. She pops the ultimate, I hit her with a Sunder, bam! What do you do now? You have no shield, you take increased damage, we're gonna shred you on down and completely destroy your entire purpose. We do the same thing with Vamana. It's that mentality of, you know, I see this character, I buy item. Funny item, do the thing it do. You know, and it just seems like we're in this scenario now where Aztec is able to just run free on his best pick, as what's been mentioned. The guy's 6'1" and 7. What was that pull? You derailed me right there, Mini Delvin. How did he catch that?
Delvin, we're talking about comfort picks, best picks. Delvin is that guy with Maui, bro. He just does it. He makes it happen, and he cooks with this Maui. Shiva, though, coming in from the backside here, forcing the Awilix ultimate, and the pull won't be there because it was already burned.
Already burned. Eternal Vanguard grouped very much on top of each other as 5. A little bit of a spread, though, from the Royal Jesters team. But now that you have this Awilix ultimate off the board, you can't look for those setup plays anymore. Although
looks like
Landfall does pull in onto Clay City, that does force the Aegis off the Heimdall. Engage coming on through. The Snyx chase on the back line, meeting up Kernoin. The feather step to finish it off. The jungle matchup ends up going in favor of the Royal Jesters. Arcanivy lurking around over top with the Anima Monster, lands on down, unfortunately just off the mark, and now eating quite a substantial amount of damage. 1, 2, down, double kill for Aztec. 4 members off the board for Eternal Vanguard. They have no middle tier 2 tower, and all 5 members are marching toward this central Phoenix. I think they want to put this one away.
It is too much things to, just too much to live. You know, we are too tanky for you to get. That's all it is right now. Bayou is getting distracted by the expert here, but we are shredding through the expert. And you're an expert at something right now. It is wild how much damage you just took in that short amount of time. And Nike is laughing in your fountain, gloating that you fell. It is an unfortunate situation.
So unfortunate right now, but very fortunate if you are a Royal Jesters player, Royal Jesters fan, because they are going to be moving on to the grand finals. They have done it here in 3 today.
What, we're gonna get the Losh Aztec matchup? Oh, there's some Athens beef going to happen here, and it is a Aztec Losh. Who is the better solo laner of Athens? Clearly, one of these two, they were talking mad smack about each other, saying, "Oh, I'm better. No, you're better. No, I'm better." Which one of them is going to be better? We will have the finals matchup, the solo lane extravaganza between the two of them.
Man, honestly, such a decisive final fight, and I'm gonna just circle back to what we were saying right at the start of that fight. What is the answer to this Nike? What was the response that the Eternal Vanguard had? Because I just felt like they didn't have a response. They didn't know how to handle that. And I mean, you can attribute that to itemization. You can attribute that to God picks. You saw the Nike come out very first in the draft. So it's just, what is the plan here? What are you doing? You need to figure out what the response is and how to handle this thing. It's just consistent. Aztec jumps in the back line. They're getting aggressive. They're just creating so much space. What are some of your final thoughts here, though, Valve, after this very aggressive 3-game set?
I liked the strategy where we didn't let Aztec have his best pick. It, went better for you. Aztec could kind of just do whatever the hell he wanted because we didn't build any anti-shielding. And unfortunately, Heimdall's not a good pick at, shredding tanks too quickly. And we kind of just fell apart because we couldn't kill the person standing in front of us. It's unfortunate, but so be it. The OSL Cup semifinals here. Royal Jesters will take it off the back of a couple of things here. The best, Delvin on his best pick, Aztec on his best pick, Kernoin 1v1ing SnixJ twice, by the way, not just once, putting in 2 times, 2-0 over the 1v1s there. That is a real clean game from the Jesters.
What a great matchup right there in game number 3, taking it all the way. Royal Jesters going to come out on top and make their way to the grand finals of the OSL Cup. This team has shown resilience and dominance, and they really proved, especially right there in that last fight, that they are ready for the ultimate stage. Hats off to Eternal Vanguard, though. An incredible series. They really had the Royal Jesters number for the length of it. They went the mile, they went the extra distance, they went all the way. The Jesters are going to reign supreme, and we are going to stay tuned, though, because we have another matchup coming up for you guys in just a few minutes. But that is going to be it for myself and Valve here tonight. We want to thank you very much for joining us for this Athens division matchup. We do have the Heart Showers going up against the big scary Dargans of Sparta division. Stay tuned because we're going to refresh the stream and be back for that. Until next time, you have yourselves a good one. I'm Zek. Valve, we'll see you next time.